I think all systems are go. Hello and welcome, my friends, to another episode of Talk Power BI. I am excited, as always, to be here with you today on this happy Friday. We have some friends on the phone from our Learn Power BI community. I have Charles, and that's Jeff, right? It has kind of your, I think it's Jeff, if I remember your name right. Perfect, great. Uh, and hello and welcome to those. And of course, if you're a student, you get to call in. Just use your special access pass. If you're joining us on YouTube, then do say hello. Say hello and let me know where you're watching us from. I love hearing that. Of course, I sometimes check kind of the world map of where our followers are, where our students are, and it's always strikes me with awe, and that's pretty cool. So and by the way, definitely let me know if the audio is working. I know last time we had some issues. Actually, I'm going to type in, is audio good? Perfect. And we already have some hellos from earlier. Loretta Sue is here from Tampa, Florida. Loretta Sue is also a member for Learn Power BI family. Loretta Sue, always good to see you here. Jen Abel says hi from Chicago. Catherine says happy Friday. Billy says aloha from Vegas. Oh, that's funny because aloha is Hawaiian. Anyway, Timothy says good morning from Chicago, and I say starting soon. Ferris says hello from Qatar, and audio sounds good. Shalom. Paul is from Montreal, and Riddy is from Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be visiting my brother there over the holiday, so looking forward to that. Godson says hello from Dallas, Texas, and Justin is saying hi from Idaho. So hello and welcome, everybody. And well, let's see. So first of all, I'm trying to line this up. So we did the first part. So check. Good job, my friends. So we did this part. Do we have a special topic planned today? We actually do not. So that means we're going to dive right into Q&A. We have done something different for Q&A this time, which is I asked people to pre-submit questions. I was kind of nervous asking that. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know how many I would get, but it's just as I say, right, agile BI and agile. I've been trying to follow agile principles in kind of my business, not just Power BI, but business and life as well. You gotta hear me talk about, or I gotta write at some point about how I planned an agile vacation. I think it was funny, and it worked out well, I would say. All right, so it was just kind of a test today. So we'll see how that go. But generally, the order that we go in Q&A is that we take one question from the phone from our students, whatever they have, and then we take one question from YouTube, and then we. I don't know how to draw a round robin, and later on, when I feel like I've served my students, right, then we also open the phone lines for our YouTube friends. If you're new, I didn't get to write this out totally. So if you're new, make sure to check out my 60-minute tutorial. I hope you have, because yeah, I mean, it's a really good tutorial. I think it just crossed 150,000 views. It has 200 plus comments, most of them positive. Not all, but yeah, so it's a good tutorial, and that's a great place to start. And I would also say that oh gosh, that it's okay to listen in, right? Okay to listen in, but don't hesitate to ask questions. Even if you're new, to ask questions. There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers, so yeah. And I reserve the right for those. So yeah, no stupid questions. And sometimes folks who are new, who come in and man, they feel intimidated. It's like, oh guys, it's a deep end. This is too scary. I'm out of here. And I think you're gonna miss out. Not just listening to me, but hey, I have some good stuff to say. But you're gonna miss out on the kind of the community, the interaction, and sometimes you learn so much from just listening in to other people's questions. Even if you're not encountering the problem right now, it may come to you later or something like that. It may give you a heads up, but don't be a fly on the wall, right? I mean, definitely say hi. Definitely say hi. I'm from there. I'm from here, right? So, that helps to break the ice and go for it, right? So, new people, I want to make sure I serve everybody through the Talk Power BI forum, not just kind of the veterans. So even if you're new, you're more than welcome, and we're glad to have you here. So that's that. What else was I going to say? I did have some announcements. So if you go to my channel, youtube.com/PowerBIPro, right up top, we have the good stuff, which is right here. And right below that is all of our upcoming live streams. And the ones that I want to call out was, gosh, when I start drawing on screen, it freezes my face. Okay, it's all right. Let's try that again. Oh shoot, let me maybe move me out of the way. All right, cool. So what we have is this one, Charles, who's on the phone, and Charles is going to be talking about. So Charles has been in the process of setting up his consulting business, and he is in our Pro Plus program, which teaches people to be to kind of go on that path. But I've often talked about how sometimes the best teacher is not the one standing in front of the class. He's not the best person. The best person to sometimes learn from, to help you, to teach you, whatever, is the student next to you, is the kid next to you who kind of elbows you and says, I see what you're struggling with. I had the same problem last week. Here's what I did. And that's I've heard Charles has spoken about this in our Pro Plus community, and he was pretty phenomenal as always. So I'm looking forward to this, and it's going to be super exciting. We're doing another episode of our dashboard makeover. This is the second one. The last one was I'll admit I didn't know how it was going to go. I think it was fantastic. It was super duper cool. Go catch the replay of the last episode if you missed out. There was some really good stuff, and I can't wait to do this again. And of course, after that, coming up are actually not one but two. The next one isn't scheduled. We're gonna get that on the calendar. But you probably heard about the Real Power BI projects that we do. And if you didn't hear about it, then you can just go to realpowerbi.com or go to our site and find Real Power BI there. So our students have been working with these businesses from all over the world. There's a tennis academy as well. Some other exciting companies there as well. And they're gonna come here and present the final project. And again, the idea is that sometimes it's not the best person to learn from is somebody who just went through this, right? So sometimes you go to conferences and they all make it look easy and they have their PowerPoint decks and everything flows, right? I mean, it's like a rehearsed presentation, which is good. I'm not dinging those, but this is kind of the real stuff. And of course, if you remember the last presentation, we had all different kinds. There were people who came in and said, well, it didn't go as I expected because we ran into these issues. And again, you learn from that as well. So we have quite a few exciting events lined up there. Do I have any other announcements? I do. So this I had promised on one of the previous Power BIs, Talk Power BIs, and I'm gonna hold myself to that. So October 2019, we're gonna open a pro level enrollment, and I've been working on that. I'm pretty super duper excited. It's almost like we're relaunching this program. I kind of lost my way. I realized that I wasn't serving my student community because of my own mental blocks, because of my own hangups, right? Guys, it's the inside that you gotta fix. If you fix that, the outside takes care of itself. So I wasn't serving them. So I'm diving into this. This week was my video week, and I took a lot of time to create some pro level content, and I'm super jazzed about it. And heads up, it's a little bit away, but not too far away. January 2020 is when we are planning to open doors for our Pro Plus. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, like Pro Plus, what is it, Avi? So this is something, folks, that has evolved over time. I've kind of been on this journey along with my students. And if you go on learnpowerbi.com, then it talks about kind of our core programs. This is the heart. This is what we call the Learn Power BI family. And hey, it's always going to be there, right? So I'm always going to be there serving this community. So that's our Learn Power BI program. And then the pro level membership, and this is to kind of continue the journey beyond. And Pro Plus is very specific. It's for somebody who wants to become a Power BI consultant. So that's the one that's opening. All right, so that was all of our announcements. Let's see if any other highs comes in. Funny. Okay, all right. So Billy says hello. Vladimir says hi from Russia. How to interact with you? Hopefully my intro told you all that. So how to convert UTC time to local time? That's a good question, but we'll hold off on that. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna go to the phones and ask our Learn Power BI members if any of you, well, for one, if any of you have a question, and certainly if you sent in something through the pre-submit route, then just speak up. Right, so let's take the first one from our students and go from there. Hey, Charles. Okay. Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. So I'll tell you my approach, and you can tell me if that fits or not. So, show data by R. So of course, you know the ultimate calendar table is famous. I hope. So that's on my channel, and of course that's inside our course as well. Inside the pro level, it goes a little bit deeper, and but that only talks about date. So what about the case where time is involved? Now, the so of course we have the date slash calendar table, right? So the ultimate one. For the time table, I almost always recommend a separate table. You can combine it. Some people combine it, but combine date and time, but that is not a good idea. So a separate kind of a timetable, and then what you need to decide there is the grain, and the grain can be hourly, right? So R00 to R23 or 1 to 24, something like that. Well, actually 0 to 23, I think. Or it could be something else. Maybe they only care about AM and PM. So then it'll just have 2 rows. Maybe they have shifts, right? And then maybe have 4 shifts, and then it's going to have 4 rows. Or, of course, so if you start at a smaller grain, so grain, the way you decide grain is that you say what's the kind of the finest, what's the finest that they want to slice the data. When they're looking at time, do they want to look at hours? Do they ever want to look at minutes? Do they ever want to look at seconds? Oh my gosh, milliseconds? I don't know, right? So obviously milliseconds would be unusual, but you kind of decide that what's the finest, right? So finest slice user would look at, right? So if the finest slice is, let's say, R, then you can always build on that. Then you can take 24 hours and then say, oh, but these hours are AM, these hours are PM. These hours are shift 1, these hours are shift 2, these are shift 3. These hours are morning, these are afternoon, these are evening, something like that, night, right? So you can always build up on that, similar to how we take products and categorize them to subcategory, category, similar to how we take dates and categorize them into months, quarters, years, right? And in the data table, you would also separate the time component. I mean, you can leave a field in there, combined date time, but really that wouldn't be linked to anything. So there will be a date field, separate date and time fields, and connect date to the calendar table, and connect time to the timetable. And that's it. That should let you slice and dice. So does that seem like a good direction? Is there some piece that I missed, or is there some kind of nuance to what you're working with? All right, perfect. Hey, a definite shout out to one of our newest members, Sahil, the Power BI jump roper. Sahil, how you doing, my friend? All right, man. Oh gosh. Uh, awesome. What time? What time is it over there? Oh, okay, okay. All right, cool. Good to have you, mate. I'll bring up your Instagram channel soon. Okay. No, man, you're great. You're great, and you have such a phenomenal story. So, folks, yeah, man, Silas shared a story on one of our early talk Power BIs, and it is super duper cool. Cool. So let's switch to one of. So I did say the pre-submit thing. So let me bring that up, and I have six questions actually. Oh, Jeff. So I didn't. You know. So Jeff, you did pre-submit a question. So we have Jeff, Nancy, Alexander, Timothy, and Ola. These are the folks who pre-submitted their questions. Thank you for doing that. I'll make sure I cover that. So, folks, of course, if you stay on, then we're gonna have the option to, kind of, if I have any follow-up questions or something like that, we can do that. But even if you don't stay on, well, I mean, yeah, that's. I don't know how many we would get, but that's pretty manageable. So I promise that I'll cover each and every one of the pre-submitted questions, the names that I mentioned. So I promise that. But let's start with Jeff. You were the first one to submit the question anyway. So, Jeff, go ahead and unmute yourself. And meanwhile, I will download your file and try to work on that. Okay, cool. All right. Got it. Okay, let's see. Oops, that was supposed to be timestamp. 20, Jeff. And I think I have your file opened right here. Oh, nicely done, my friend. This looks good. So the tag diff cumulative, is that the one you're trying to calculate? Got it. Yeah. Okay, okay, got it. Yeah, this is well, I was gonna say simple. So again, everybody here has heard me say that. So human learning comes before machine learning. So it's simple as, at least in terms of human learning, right? I mean, I get it right away. I get it right away. So you have something calculated, and you're trying to do kind of cumulative. But R, oh my gosh! So this is R. This works well with kind of what Charles was asking. Beautiful, beautiful. And this one is this is Power BI inside Excel, right? I mean, expect him. Yeah, yeah, great. Yep, I've been known to do that. Yeah. All right, great. So let's just so I think this is you set it up really well for me. So we have the calendar table, and since you've done it, I just wanted to kind of showcase it here. So, oh gosh, this is beautiful. So guys, yeah, I mean, uh, and I, I almost do it compulsively now. Um, so we have just the way. So this is great. This is really great. So just the way we have the calendar table, we have a lookup table for ours, and that's separate. And then we do have actuals and plans, and that's okay. And I'm not unsure about this relationship, but that's I'll ignore that for now. And everything looks really well set up. And I think uh, I don't know, boy, this has been such a while since I've created something in Excel. So there is Power BI in Excel, if you guys didn't know, right? So the core components are there, at least the ones that I feel most passionate about. There is the DAX model and engine and relationships and everything, and there's of course the query editor. So that is there. So I feel a little shaky, but so tag diff. I think this is okay. Let me just take a shot. So table name tag actual measure name. Measure name is we're gonna say tag diff cumulative. So tell me a little bit more about this data. You were talking about wineries and exciting stuff. So tell me what this data is. What is the tag? All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna try something here. Well, I'm checking to see if the grand total for this tag diff works. And keep only select items. And it does. Perfect. Great. Um, Clear filter. So that makes my job a little bit easier. So let's go to new measure, and we're gonna call it tag diff tag difference cumulative. We're gonna come in here, and we're gonna say calculate the tag diff for me, but I wanna get all the R's before the current R. Oh, this is interesting. So let's try to get the var current R equals. Ooh, let's do max of what is that called? R number. R number. Great. So we got that. And then you're gonna say now calculate tag diff where I wanna. So first thing I wanna do is I wanna clear the filter on R's. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do that because so again each measure is operated as if it's in kind of an island, right? So I often when I'm debugging or thinking about writing, you gotta zero in on one cell and see what's happening there. So what's happening in this cell? And again, they all follow the same steps. ICAN, right? Incoming filter context, calculate, apply relationships, do the numbers. And folks who have no idea what I'm talking about, the I can principle, of course, it's based on the idea that if I can do it, anybody can. But it's on my YouTube channel and also inside my course. So that's what I'm talking about. So the incoming filter context for this is our number is 1, and I don't want that. So I want something different. So I'm going to start by kind of clearing it. Let's try that. I'm going to move this slightly here. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna say, I think I'm gonna use filter. So we use filter. There are always a few different ways to write the same measure, and that's okay. Let's try this on a new row. So I'm gonna say filter, and I'm gonna say all R number. R number. I could have cleared the whole table as well in this case. I think that's pretty safe. Let's just do this for now. So I want to clear all of it, but then I want to zero in again. All, by the way, I often joke, used in this way, you say filter all, activates what I call the God mode, right? I mean, so for those who are familiar with this, Man, this goes way back, but I remember kind of playing Doom and stuff. And I don't know, maybe there's still God mode, but there used to be, I think there was a cheat or something you could do where it activated God mode and you couldn't be killed, right? So this activates kind of God mode where now you can go in with the scalpel if you wanted to and select the row from the table almost one by one if you wanted to. All right, so what do we want to do here? So we want to say our number is less than equal to the current R. And okay, cool. So I have a good feeling about this, but I have learned not to celebrate too early because I've done that way too many times. Let's check formula. Let's make number zero whole number. I don't know what it is. Okay. And I think Excel is nice. Okay, cool. So looks good. Matches your Excel version. So that's it. Perfect. Glad we're able to help. What I'm going to do is tag difference cumulative. I'm going to take this formula and stick this in our notes as well. As I'm creating new content, especially for our pro level, I realized that that this is a good resource. I went back to some of these, so I'm just focusing a little more on my notes. Perfect. So that was good. Let me check in on YouTube, see how everybody's doing. Where is my chat box? Juan says, Juan, good to have you on. Juan says hi from Honduras. How to hide multiple pages with a single bookmark. Oh, Jen is saying they can't hear others. Ooh, that's not good. Why isn't that working? Hello? Oh yeah, you're right. It isn't working. Hold on, let me debug that. And let's go. Oops. And all right, let's try that again. Oh, oops. Different things going on. Okay, sorry about that. I think we have the audio from our guests on. Cool. So sorry about that, folks. Well, what can you see? All right, let's see. How to hide multiple pages. Jen, thanks for giving me a heads up. Wow, there were lots of different questions here. What I'm going to do is, hey, from the pre-submitted list that I mentioned, where did that go? Here we go. So Nancy, Alexander, Timothy, or Ola. If any of you are on, say hi. If I don't see that first, what I'll do is I'll pick up Nancy's question. Okay, so Nancy sent in a question. And folks, yeah, hold on. So I'm gonna try to kind of balance. So of course, I want to serve whoever is kind of live watching. I wanna kind of serve you as well. But the pre-submit is the first time we're trying it out. So in my mind, I was thinking we're gonna kind of round robin. We'll see how it goes. Take one pre-submit, take one from YouTube, and so forth. It never works perfectly, but as I learned in my agile vacation, the perfect vacation is the imperfect one. Embrace that, my friends, right? So I don't know. That's what life is, right? I mean, if you get rankled about that kind of stuff, that you can choose to get rankled about it or kind of enjoy it. So all right, cool. So let's see, what is the time? It's 09:32, and I do have. So I think we took one of the pre-submitted questions from Jeff. Let's see if we can. Oops, don't want that. If we can take one from YouTube. Okay, so Timothy is here. Hi, Timothy. Great. So let's switch over to Timothy's question. And okay. All right, so got that. And Oh, oh my gosh, Kenneth, we were talking about this yesterday, I think. Get the previous record. That's what it seems like, almost. So I'm going to read it out loud, just to make sure I understand it. I have a table with sales by date and customer. Okay, got it. I can easily pull the most current sales record, but how can I get the previous sales record when the previous day's sales entry did not occur on the prior day? Oh, this is really interesting. That is the most current sales record is 10/9, and the previous record is a 9/1/2009. Oh gosh, I'm salivating on this one. So, how to get previous the previous day sales. So, man, this I'm gonna give like a gold star right away. So, folks, gold star, as you can see here, Sahil is like a multiple times I think award recipient. But it's if you ask me a question which is not hypothetical when it's a real business case, which Timothy's is, and it's seemingly simple, right? I mean, Timothy's question just makes sense. It's obvious to humans. It's like, yep, of course, but there's some nuances in Power BI. I mean, it's not as straightforward. So. So that's a gold star, and I think this one is definitely a winner. So Timothy, thank you for sending that in. All right, so let's see if we can go to our AdventureWorks, and let's see. So we'll probably do it by a specific customer. So let's see, customer, do I have a slicer? I do. Oh, actually, yeah, that page was almost set up for Timothy's question. Beautiful. Okay, so let's look at Jordan, actually Willie Shu. Hey, Jen or somebody else, can you guys confirm? Well, actually, nobody's talking on the microphone now. So I was gonna say, can somebody confirm that you can hear the guests we have on the phone? All right. Anyway, so I want to see something else. Nicole Nara, Caitlin Henderson. Come on, why does everybody have two orders? I don't get it. 1019. Let's try this. I know how to do this. Calendar. Randy Gill. Oh man, this I'm trying to find a simpler case where they don't have multiple orders on the same date. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe we can still solve it, but I would like that. I like to keep things kind of simpler. Oh, okay. Whew. All right. So Carolyn Navarro, our anonymous person in AdventureWorks, she had an order on 6/6 when the previous order was 1/30, and so let's do the most recent order. All right, let's do that. So what we're gonna do here, folks. So this is something that I tried yesterday with the pro level content that I was building, and what I did was I placed my new formulas. It placed whatever new I created in a new formulas. That way, it made it easier to find. That way, I could look at the file and see exactly the formulas I covered in that lesson. So we're gonna put our formulas here, the new ones we create. So again, the first thing, the last order date is gonna be easy, right? So last order date is gonna be easy. Folks, if you're on the phone, did somebody have a thought on the phone? If you're not talking to me, then I'll request that just hit the mute button. Okay, hold on, guys. All right, I think that took care of itself. Good. So, last order date. Anybody knows what this is going to be? Simple, right? Max and order date. And I paused a little bit because I felt, is it going to be in the calendar table? I don't think so. I think this one is going to be in the data table, sales. So we have that. And let's see if it's working. So I'm expecting, the hypothesis is, so folks, I was reintroduced to the whole hypothesis and all that stuff when my kids went through elementary school. Well, my younger one is still in elementary. The older one is in high school. So, but so the scientific approach is where you go in with a hypothesis and you're not biased at that point. Is it true or false? I mean, you're just going with an open mind. And, I'll tell you that is kind of the journey for Power BI. And maybe life as well. That we hold on so tight to something that we want the measure to work, but if you let that go, then you can enjoy the process. I mean, in fact, if you've seen me on these calls, and even with clients, doesn't matter where I am, I get so much thrill out of it that often the analogies that I use, like when I'm debugging a measure, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like solving a murder mystery. And hey, I grew up reading about Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie, and Stester. So of course I love that kind of murder mystery. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? So and I sometimes joke that when I'm debugging a measure, there's a person standing over the person who's passed away, with a knife in the hand, blood dripping, but they're not the murderer, right? So I love the scenarios where it's not the obvious answer, it's something else. So yeah, so you can kind of enjoy it. All right, great. So last order date is max sales order numbers. So this one, I'm gonna throw it up on the board. I tried to at least. Let's see where to go. Okay, great. And cool. So 6.6. Yep. So that was my hypothesis that it's going to be 6.6, and the hypothesis was proved to be true. So we're good there, right? So and I'm gonna format that so I'm not seeing the time component. Modeling, click last order date, and date time, just date. Great. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to hide this. Okay, cool. So that way this just has measures. By the way, if you only have measures in a table, and oddly enough, you have to close the file and reopen it again, but the table, I'm sure some of you know, gets a different icon, which is cool. It's shown at the top and it gets a different icon. So last order date is fine. Oh, actually, let's be more descriptive. So most recent order date. So most recent order date. So that one is easy. So that's what Timothy was saying, that hey, this is no problem, right? I mean, this is no problem. I mean, that you have to look at that. That's just that. How do I get the one before that? And of course, now my mind is racing, because if you can get before that, then you can do A minus B, and then you can see how much was the time elapsed between these two orders and do more cool stuff with it. Maybe you can compare it. Actually, yeah, so of course, there's a lot of, for customer retention, there's a lot of like cool stuff in there. Like, anyway, all right, so I won't get into that. So we need the last order date. Okay, so oddly enough, this doesn't feel that different than the question that Jeff had. Think about it. Like, cumulative, you just said, oh, the previous R. It feels similar. It's going to be interesting to see if the measures are going to be similar or not. I have a feeling, at least the way I'm going to write it, there are always multiple ways to write it, that they're going to be similar. All right, so cool. So let's go. New measure, and I'll say previous order date. All right, so now the thing is that right now previous order date, got it. So first thing that I feel like that I'm gonna grab the most recent order date anyway. So most recent order date is the most recent order date, right? And sometimes when I write measures step by step like that, I know this is not done, but I return that. And sometimes I call this in progress, just so I remember that this is not really the previous order date. So let's just kind of try that out. and I'll put that here, and previous order date, previous order date, and right. So yeah. So right now it's obviously it's in progress. So it's just returning the most recent order date, and that's fine. Oh gosh, come on. I like being able to see my data while I'm working on the measure. Anyway, so most recent order date, I got that, but how do I get the previous one? Shoot, I'm thinking right now. So what I need to do is calculate the max of order date, where the order date is less than most recent order date. You know, I have a good feeling about this, but again, hypothesis that is going to give me the right answer. Let's try it out. Bingo! It seems to work, right? Now, of course, there are edge cases which I didn't solve for. Like, what if the person had multiple orders the same day? Now, of course, you got to think: is the current formula gonna work or not? Well, of course, how you answer the question first depends on how would a human answer that question. Like, I don't know, right? And again, that's I really don't know as a human. Like, if they have two orders on the same day, I can't read your mind, right? I mean, and both answers are right. There are no wrong answers. Somebody could say if they have two orders on the same day, then it's, June 6th. If June 6th, they had two orders on June 6th. Then if I ask you the previous order, you will say June 6th because it was earlier in the day at that time, right? Then you, of course, have to worry about the time component and so forth. And then somebody else would say, no. They had multiple orders on the same day. That's not what we're looking at. We just want to see that, yep, they ordered some stuff on June 6th. Doesn't matter if they came in and ordered 20 different times. We would just want to see a previous day, right? So I wouldn't solve that one, but either way, whichever way you go, it should be, hopefully this gets you pretty close, Timothy. All right, so let me know if this felt like it answered your question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this formula here as well. And yeah, this one is kind of, let's see if this, it didn't end up being similar to this one, because this one is, not well. Let's see these two side by side. Split and so what is the key difference between these two formulas? The key difference is this had to play God, right? When you say all, and you got to be a little careful with that, because all I always say is like the hammer, like Thor's hammer. You just, and especially, well, I should change that. All with a table reference is like a hammer, because it just clears everything on that table, and sometimes it goes too far, so you got to be kind of careful. So this invoked the God mode, and I was maybe feeling that this would do the same, but it didn't, right? So it didn't invoke the God mode. Now, of course, the question is, why? Why did this one invoke the God mode? Why did this one not invoke the God mode?
Avi?
Yeah, Kenneth, go for it.
It's because you assumed there would be no other filters when you were looking for the previous order date. No
Uh,
external filter context
well, there's
that you have to get
all.
rid of.
Well, I wouldn't say that. So let's refine that. I think you're really close. So, I mean, obviously, there can be external filter context. Somebody can come in and say product category is equals bikes, and it would still work. The formula would still work. So you're really close. There's one specific thing in the filter context. So filter context is usually table column equals this, right? So there's one specific one that I don't need to worry about.
But what if you were filtering the table for product where they did orders of a specific product?
It would work. Yep. Yep.
The,
Everything would work. Everything would work. Yep. You could have months. Yeah. I mean, months would be a little weird, because if it went beyond the month, then it wouldn't get it. Um, Ignore months for now. But yeah, product, territories, anything else, any customer attribute, it would still work. So yeah. Um, Now, of course, in this data, it's hard to demonstrate because it's kind of wonky stuff. But let's try it. So let's try Jordan Turner, and let's try product category in here. So you see we have clothing, accessories, and so forth. And of course, we had this theory, we had this discussion about if there were multiple orders on the same day, what is the right answer. The way our current formula is operating is that if there are multiple orders, it ignores that and it just brings you 1113. All right, so right now, notice that there were a whole bunch of orders on 12/1, and then it's giving you 1113, right? Now, what if I say only clothing orders? Okay, there was just one clothing order. Let's try bikes. Boom, right? So you see that well, it does work, right? Yes, it does. Okay, so it does work. So it's responsive. It's responsive to all filters. Now, of course, measures are magical that way. Man, this is pure magic. Yeah, I mean, it just brings tears to my eyes every time I really kind of fully experience it. Is the magic of define once, use everywhere, right? So in Excel, a formula was kind of trapped in that cell, and it was, oh, I am calculating the previous order date for this, and I'm referencing 1,000 other things, and that's just the answer you get. And if you copy it, the other cells are referencing something else, and it just works very differently, right? But in here, you define it once, and it works everywhere. So, and of course, this, you don't have to do this at customer level. You can do this at customer segment level. So imagine if your customers were clustered, like all of these people are at my client name called Microsoft. All of these people are in the city here. You can examine it by that client set or the city set. Now, of course, I don't have kind of client, but I have city. So ignore Jordan Turner. Let's just forget about him for a second. Sorry, Jordan. Let's just go in here and bring in the city. Oops. Sorry, Jordan Turner, brought him back. Okay, cool. So let's bring in the customer city. And don't want that. So city, customer city. Let's try that. You can do this on a city by city basis. So you can say, show me bike orders in Barstow. There was only one. Great. Look at this, Ballard. And it is still working. It's saying, yep, most recent is this, previous order is this, right? So that is the magic of DAX. And isn't it phenomenal, folks? Come on, come on. All right, cool. So, but let's go back to this. Let's go back to this and say, why is this one have filter all? Why did I invoke God mode? And in this one, I didn't invoke God mode. Well, so Kenneth was really close. Do I have, oh shoot, I closed the Excel file. Let's open that Excel file again.
Does it have something to do with how filter context is manufactured inside, or row context, sorry, inside a filter?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's about where I am trying to calculate that number, right? So I'm gonna say it, and I hope it's gonna be like obvious, but yeah. Let me just say it, and then I would love to hear from you guys that if that makes sense. So this was a new measure that we calculated, right? And again, I was I needed to calculate it right here. Now in here, so again, if you remember, I had. I said that when I'm writing a measure, I focus on like a single cell. And if you remember, I had focused on this one because it was simple enough, right? I mean, in my head, I could say 8 minus 3 should be 5. I mean, right? So again, this didn't exist, but in my head, I could see it that, this should be 5. And I was focused on this. So on here, I needed to do something to ours, but in this cell right here, what is the step 1 of DAX calculation? Is the I, the incoming filter context, and the ICAN. And man, this was locked in. This was coming in with a specific R number. And if I didn't clear that, I had no hope of getting to 5. I couldn't access this number at all because it wouldn't let me. So I had to clear that filter, right? So I had to clear this, and that's why I had to invoke the God mode. It was where I was calculating. Now, if somehow, and I don't really know what the scenario is for Jeff, it's possible to ask that question where, oh, is it possible? No, I don't think so in his case, yeah, the R number is always going to be filtered to something, I think, right? So, but in this case, I am trying to calculate it.
Yeah, but Avi,
over here, just hold on 1 second. Imagine if instead of this, what I needed to do was I needed to put the previous order date right here. If that's what I was trying to do, then God help me, I would have to invoke the God mode. I would have to say all order date. Otherwise, I would be stuck to this order date, right? So that's kind of the difference. Does that that make sense? Yeah. So I think Charles, one of you or maybe both of you were trying to say something. Go ahead.
I can see how the two measures you have here, the previous one always works depending on what you filtered for in the orders.
Uh,
That's all I was
yeah.
trying to say is that if you filter orders by city, it works, but it gets you the previous order. It's showing you the next order in the table after it's been filtered. If
Mm-hmm.
if you were trying to calculate like the previous order for the same customer, not the previous order for the city, but you were displaying it by city, then I think you'd have to break out and do all to be able to get back to it. I understand
Okay.
how it works the way you have it set up, but
Okay. Okay. It sounds like we're saying the same thing, so that's good. All right. Perfect. All right, folks. So that was a good dive. Let's see. So we got Timothy's question, and so I'm gonna check in the comments really quick just to make sure that I did indeed answer Timothy's question. And what we're gonna do is here. All right. So Nancy. Oh, Nancy seems like she had to run. Pop up chat. All right. So let's do. Let's see. Oh yeah, Raul. Yeah, I think you're in good company here. So Raul is saying, "Hey, I'm glad to see I'm not the only one who gets excited about this stuff." And I remember. So yeah, man, this is really cool. And what was I gonna say? So of course, imagine me going to a party. Can you guys imagine that? And I have to control myself, curb my enthusiasm, and not dive off in the deep end because I often get just excited about this stuff, and of course I get kind of weird looks. The funny story I have is when friends of my kids, either my son or my daughter, the friends kind of walk in, or if I'm meeting them for the first time, if it comes up or they ask, or sometimes even if they don't ask, I kind of mention that, oh, I'm a YouTuber, because I love kind of seeing the reaction. But the reaction is so predictable, they get really excited. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, cool. And it's something that happens, and of course I try to show them my channel, and they look at it for like maybe 20 seconds, and then and they say, yeah, but this is all so boring, So it's always predictable. So, but as a friend of mine once taught me, there are no uninteresting topics. All right, so if I go to a party and start talking about DAX, then yeah, so there are no uninteresting topics, only uninterested people, and that's okay. That's okay because we can hang out here and find a crowd, and we will of course throw a DAX party or something as well. All right, cool. All right, so Timothy, that helped you. Awesome. Let's see. So Nancy, let's take your question. But I'm here. Okay. All right. Got it. Oh gosh. So you have 4 minutes. Is that right? 10 to 11. I'm trying to figure out 1 EST. Oh well. At least let me get started on your question. Sorry, I didn't. I didn't see your note earlier. So okay, got it. And Nancy, and your question is. Oh. I'm not sure I got the whole question. I seem to have part of it. So I forgot. I think I'm missing a part. Built my report and everything worked awesome. I refined my total scrap measures, not excluding my plants filter. Boy. Let's see. We'll probably be here for a while. So what time does the meeting end? And and oh gosh, what? Why? I don't understand. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry. My my struggle with the email. I got it. I got the question at least. Okay, so let's put that in. And let me kind of see that if I understand it. Oh, good for you. You probably didn't know I'm going to base off it, did you? All right. Built my report and everything worked awesome. However, I found my total held measure is not excluding my plants filter this measure. Okay, cool. Man, a dummy file would have been awesome because this is gonna take me some time. So Nancy, let's do this. So I think we have tried this a few times where we've had to have you call in, but it hadn't worked. What is the password for today? The password for today is I think is love. Yeah. So once you're back from the meeting, call in because I think that'll help us go faster. All right. So sorry I couldn't get to your question sooner. Perfect. So let's see who's on here and let me just double check here. All right. Perfect. Cool. So where's my chat window? So yeah, we have taken some pre-submitted questions. I wanted to kind of look at the chat as well. All right, so let's take AJM's question. So this will park for later. Later, Nancy. Okay, we have 59 and so AJM is asking, calendar uses periods. Okay, so what you're looking at is what's called a custom calendar. And the time intelligence functions do break down. They don't work anymore. So how would you write something that compares same period in 2 different years? It's simple, right? So you're going to have your sales measure, and you're going to have your sales sales prior year, and you're just going to say calculate sales, and then you're going to say so you can say same period last year, which is a shorthand for one of the core time intelligence functions, which is date add. You can also do that. So same period last year, and you say calendar date. Right, so, and again, the same period last year is just shorthand for date add. And by the way, time intelligence functions does seem to have a lot of functions, but a lot of them are just shorthand for something else. Like there is totals year to date, which is, yeah, right. So, all right, so we're here, and date add -1 year, I think. -1 year. So it shifts the year back, something like that. Date add, I might have gotten it wrong. I haven't written it in a while. Maybe I should delete it. Oh well, okay. So sales period last year, but so again, but none of the time intelligence functions work for a customer calendar. Actually, some of them might do, but I can't think of that right now. So how would you write a sales prior year for this? So this is, again, I have a feeling it's going to invoke that God mode we've been talking about. It's kind of odd. I think I've mentioned that, but if you haven't quite gone into that what invokes God mode. So sales prior year, and this will be using periods. And what you're going to say is calculate sales, right? So you're looking at, let's say you're looking at year, well, let's call it fiscal year. So at Microsoft or a calendar was called fiscal year, and fiscal period, let's say, is called equals 3, right? So fiscal year is 2019, and fiscal period is 3. And this has nothing to do with the calendar year, right? Their fiscal year started in June. And so their fiscal year, if you looked at their fiscal year, it ran from like June 2008, July 2018 to June 2019, right? So it's got like 2 different calendar years, right? So this is nothing to do with calendar years. So again, you can define your custom calendar the way you want, whatever you define your periods as. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how you define it. But here, what you say is, so I'm looking at, let's say I'm looking at fiscal year 2019, fiscal period 3, but I want it for the last year. This is interesting. Same period in 2 different years. One way to solve it is to say calculate sales and then you say calculate sales. You say filter all my custom calendar. You can call it calendar, it doesn't matter, right? So if you clear all of that, that invokes God mode, and then you can go in with a scalpel and you can say specifically what you want. So now you can say custom calendar, the fiscal year is, let's use some variables here. Current FY equals to selected value custom calendar fiscal year. So we'll have these two, right? So we get that value, and then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get the current month fiscal period, FP, and this is going to be period. So imagine that this is holding, in our case, it is holding 3, right? Because imagine the filters coming in are 2019 fiscal period 3, and they could be in the row, in the matrix, doesn't matter, right? And this one for us is 2019. And if you want to do previous year, you just say that was separate, yeah. So incoming filter, maybe I should have solved it in Power BI. That was an option too. So fiscal year equals this current FY minus 1, right? So you're going minus 1, which would return 2018, right? And you would say, and custom calendar fiscal period is the same one, current FB, right? So, and this will of course be 3. So that should get you what you're looking for. Same period in 2 different years, right? So we start, and of course you can do like the year before that, and all you have to do is current FY minus 2. Hopefully that helped. So my data set doesn't have the date table. This still work despite putting date in there. You must have a date table. Your date table is just going to be unlike any other date table. So if you look at our date table over here. Oh, by the way, I should, you know what? Scratch every single thing that I said. Scratch everything that I said. Apologies. Sometimes I get carried away. Scratch everything that I said. The first thing that I should have asked you was about your calendar table. So apologies, guys. So hey, learn from my lessons, right? So if somebody starts talking about dates, if the client starts talking about dates, and client could be internal, external, doesn't matter. You could be an employee, you could be a consultant. So the first question should be, is a month, right? So for fiscal calendar, so Microsoft had a fiscal calendar So this is a weird question. If there is a better way to ask it, I would love to hear that. Right? So what I'm saying is a month, right? So is February still 28 days, right? So is January 31 days, February 28 days, March is 31 again, right? And so forth, right? Is that true? If that is true, Then what you have is what I would call a fiscal calendar. Fiscal calendar, and the start month is shifted. And man, I've seen everything. I've seen fiscal calendars that start in July. That was Microsoft. I've seen fiscal calendars start in October. Those are usually NASA and other institutions like that. I think it has tied to the government funding. Government has to. It takes them that long to approve the funding. So October, once you have the funds, then you know what you're doing. So that's when you start your year. And then there was somebody who said their year started in February, which was kind of weird. But right, so if you have a different start month, then you lucky you, right? You can use all time. You can, I think so, all time intelligence functions with an optional parameter. Optional parameter. And of course, if we go back here. Let's try new measure, and I'm just gonna do actually, yeah, same period last year would work. Dates year to date, that one is the only tricky one. So let's just say I'm just gonna show you the second parameter, but is calendar. So this is the second parameter, which is the year and date, this guy, and you just use a different date, right? So if your fiscal calendar starts in July, then you would say, oh, my year ends in 6/30. And earlier I used to obsess over like what's the year. Actually, it doesn't matter. You don't have to. You can just say month and day. You don't have to specify an year, and really it doesn't matter. You can say 2000. You can say 2019. You can say 2020. None of that matters. Only this matters, right? So that's that can be used. So let's come back here. So if we have a fiscal calendar, then just use the time intelligence function with the optional parameter. And otherwise, if you have a custom calendar, can be found in retail and so forth, then you would use this pattern. All right. So year, period, and a number representing each line. Year, period, and a number. 4 weeks. So yeah, so you're gonna have to work a little bit harder on your table AGM. So you're gonna make it actually do you? Well, maybe you don't need to. But generally a date table, and I don't care whether you have a fiscal calendar or a custom calendar, whatever, it could be anything, or a regular calendar, then it should have all dates. It's usually not at a month level, but let's see. Year, period, number. For 13 year. Perfect. So I'm glad I clarified that. But good warning for others. So AJM certainly has the custom calendar. So again, month is not a month because each period is 4 weeks. So there's no real concept of like February as such, right? So year, period, and number. So I think this pattern would work for you. Let me know if this kind of made sense, right? I mean, logically, I hope it did. All right, cool. So. Awesome. So I'm trying to keep this straight in my head. So we've been doing pre-submitted questions. That's the first time we've tried it. And we have answered, well, actually, we haven't answered. Have you answered 2 of them? Yes, we have. So we've answered Jeff's pre-submitted question and Timothy's pre-submitted questions. We didn't get a chance to answer Nancy. So the only other 2 pre-submitted are, so Nancy, I believe she had to go for a meeting. Nancy, I promise I'll get back to you if you're watching this recording. So if you join in again and so forth, make some noise. Oh, call in better. So Alexander and Ola, if you're on, let me know. Meanwhile, I'll check in with the phone crowd. Awesome, AGM. Thanks. Glad that helped. And see if somebody has any questions.
Yeah, I had
Hey.
actually have a couple of questions.
Okay.
The first one's a bit easier, I think, for you. And the second
I'll try my best.
second one revolves around a file that I sent you. So I sent you a sample file. But let me just ask you the first one because that's still in my head.
Okay.
So in the model that I'm working on right now, I have around 3-4 different data sources, and all of them have the same client name. But it's just that they're spelled a bit differently. So say if your client's name was ABC, in one table you'll have ABC, but in the second one you'll have ABC, and then there'll be a full stop, or there'll be something else, some minor changes to it because it's been misspelled. And I've been working with the teams to get that fixed, but It's
Yeah.
a long process. And the workaround that I've tried right now is that I
Yeah.
created an Excel file
Yeah. Yeah.
and I added all of them together
Mm-hmm.
in the file in one single column. And
Yeah.
then I'm trying to link it to some one unique ID, but I'm not able to find a way to.
Yeah, I got it. So tell me, what are the different sources where you're getting these customer names
So
or client names?
three sources are on SharePoint, and two of them are from SQL.
Let's talk about the SQL ones. Gosh, I would hope that SQL would have some kind of a ID key, something. Does it exist on the SQL side at
Yeah,
least?
so
Okay.
that's how I got somewhat lucky that on the SQL side,
Yeah.
every client has an ID. There's a
Got it.
client ID that's unique. I've been able to
Yeah.
link it to one client ID table.
Got it.
So
So the
that's
two
what.
from SQL, so they're like two different tables in SQL, but they both have the client ID that will uniquely identify
Hmm.
them. So SQL is not the problem, right? So SQL, right? I mean, any of the SQL tables are not a problem, right?
Hmm.
Got it. So SQL tables have the ID key, but the sources in SharePoint, they just all three of these just have the name and oh my god, is it like typed in? How is his name? Are they selecting from a drop
So it's
down
like
or
every people. So it's like every team manages
yeah,
their own data. So everyone manages it differently. So everyone probably some people are typing it in. Some people have a drop down available.
yeah,
So it's slightly different. And the issue is that on my report,
yeah,
so I'm supposed to have a client filter. So
yeah,
it's connecting all of this data together. So even the
yes, yes,
SQL is connected. So if the name, even though the name on the SQL,
yeah,
it works together. But if I'm not sure. So if I'm putting a slicer on client name, right? I'm
yeah,
not sure which table to use that client name from, right?
yeah, yeah, makes sense. So and hey, remind me. So what is your focus on? You're in a sales unit, or you're supporting a sales team?
No, it's all financial data.
Sorry, say again.
So it's all uh, trading data,
Okay,
basically.
okay, okay, got it. Uh, all right, so cool. So every team is managing it. Type it in drop down. So I'm probably not gonna have like really brilliant answers. Like oh, actually, I do have one good one which you can try. So
Hmm.
and the thing is that it's a little well. So my brilliant idea is you can try fuzzy matching in the query editor, and I can't spell fuzzy. So it's a relatively new feature. So usually when you do kind of a merge, then it's an exact match, right? So you say, oh, ID this matches that, but I think there's a checkbox there where you can check and say fuzzy matching. And fuzzy matching, I mean, I would guarantee you it would definitely match Avi space Singh and Avi dot Singh, right? But again, I mean, it's not like predictable, right? I mean, beforehand you can't say, but it might do some good, right? So try that out. But I'll say if I was, yeah, go ahead.
I had this one idea in my head, but I'm not sure if it actually works. But that maybe in all those different tables,
Mm-hmm.
maybe if I can add a unique identifier. So say I give on each table, so it's a lot of manual effort, but
Yeah,
on each table for each client, I give a unique ID, and that remains the same across all tables. So say if I
yeah.
give ABC as one, and that remains the same for all those tables,
Y-
is it
y-
maybe if I can link them together?
well, so good thinking. So I think that's one of the ideas where, like, can we do something in kind of the SharePoint list? And I haven't used SharePoint, but so in SharePoint list, you can use a lookup to another list, I think. And
Hmm.
if you're using that, then the list always has an ID in there, uh, and it may not show on the interface, but when you pull it using Power BI, when pulling in using Power BI, right? So it'll always be visible, and maybe we can take a
So I understand what ID you're talking about. So each row that pulls in from that SharePoint will
Yeah.
have a unique ID.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
again, that's like a row reference, right? So it's not
Yeah.
it's not going
I
to be a
I know.
common link between the.
Yes, that's right. But having a kind of a I don't know what to call it, like a rigid ID takes you a long way, because now you and yeah, you're right. This will be a custom mapping of the row ID to the customer key or whatever you have, right? So customer key, and so coming from the SQL, right? So and you would have to do it manually. How many are we talking about? Just how many are in the
Customers
SQLs? Yeah,
or
customers, clients. Yeah.
around 180.
Okay. Whew. Oh, we dodged a bullet there, my friend. If you had said anything like 1,000, I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be like super hard. I mean, it wouldn't be that bad, because then what I would do is I would start with fuzzy matching and then maybe verify those matching or something like that, you know.
Mhm.
So if you have a row ID, you have like a durable rigid row ID, you can map that, and that's going to be rock solid. That's going to be really good. So this you can solve. Of course, when they type it in, that's free for all. That one. I mean, you can do some fuzzy matching, you can do exact matching, but it will be, obviously it's not predictable. We can't predict what they're going to type. Uh,
Mhm.
but I mean, obviously you can, I don't know, like trim it and whatever common gotchas. What I would say is like monitor. Let's actually come back to this. Let's actually come back to this. So one approach is to solve it at the source itself, right? And the way to solve it is that you use a lookup to another list. That list has a built-in ID, and then you map that a SharePoint row ID with the customer key. Now, of course, is uh, careful people who maintain the lookup list. So, so often what happens is the person building the Power BI stuff, we don't own these components, right? We're just connecting to them. So it'll be somebody else who manages the customer lookup list, right? Which we're going to use here. And you got to sit down and talk to them that, hey, this is what I'm doing. So what that means is, like, they might think that, oh, I deleted Avi Singh and I added him again, and it's okay. But what they did was they changed the SharePoint row ID, and now your mapping is going to messed up. And of course,
Mhm.
you're going to need some communication with them on if they add new things and something like that. But we'll leave that for now. But this can work.
Okay, I'll,
Cool.
I'll give that a
Yeah,
try. So the actual goal is that hopefully by 2-3 months, at least by this year's end,
yeah.
I'll be able to convince them that, yeah,
SharePoint goes away.
let's standardize it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know. Maybe this lookup list. Can a lookup list be kind of uh, automatically imported, kind of generated from SQL? That would be awesome, because then
Hmm.
it can include the real customer key
Right.
from SQL, right? So, and gosh, I feel like there
Right.
has to be some way, some auto thing, some scripting, something. Um, and of course, I think I remember talking to you, and I think one of you had mentioned that maybe at some point you guys don't even use SharePoint, right? But
That's the end goal.
of course, I had said that. Hey, I mean, you don't want to prod that with a stick, right? I mean, who
Mm.
knows, right? So yeah, kind of approach that carefully. These guys are already using it, so yeah. But yeah, so you can consider a few different ideas here. If I may, if you ignore the current scenario, totally ignore how it is, how do you see it as set up? I mean, do you see Power Apps? Do you see SharePoint in a cleaner format? What do you see?
Well, if the most basic solution that I can think of is that, so I know that because if there's a drop down, there has to be a source, right, where the drop
Yeah.
down's being fed from, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if all those SharePoint pages can refer to the same drop down, or the same source of that drop down,
Yeah.
that can still make it easy, right? Because
Yeah.
because I'm not really sure how SharePoint works, but if I'm assuming that just like how drop downs work in Excel, right? Because you create a list and then you take it as a reference, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think it
so
can work that way. Yeah.
if all those pages can reference that one particular list,
Uh-huh.
then at least it'll keep all those pages with the same names, right?
Yep, exactly. Um, yeah, yeah, that's right. Cool. So yeah, I think there's definitely room here, right? I mean, sometimes it feels like a dead end, but this one feels good. So hopefully you can convince them, kind of nudge them towards this solution. Um, and but let's talk about for briefly, like this may take some time, right? And frankly, when I'm working with a client or myself, I'm slightly impatient, right? I want to put something there right now. So what I would say is for now, I would try um, while while we're waiting for kind of whatever the final solution is, or the next solution. Let's not call it the final solution, right? So what I would do is, so there are 180 names. That's not that bad. So of course, for now, let's ignore our duplicate client names, right? We're we're gonna pretend that doesn't exist because that would be pretty hard to solve, right? So if there are two Avi Singhs, right? So who are different people, right? So obviously in SQL, they can have ID 1 and ID 11, and they can be differentiated, but names not. So we're gonna ignore that one for now. So what I would start is I'll use SharePoint data and SQL data, and I will do an exact match. And of course, I would be like 100% confident over that. So if it exact match, then it's good, right? And then I would check on the ones that didn't match. So this is just me trying to, and this you can do in a query editor. There's a merge option, maybe you've already seen, where it's a merge but show me the ones in table A but not in table B. Have you ever tried that, something like that?
Not yet. I've tried
Okay, yeah.
append but not merge yet.
Yeah, let's I'm just gonna bring it up just so at least I can point it out. Okay, so okay. So we'll come back and show that. So check on the didn't match, and then maybe try fuzzy matching and validate the results, and then check remaining exceptions, see if you can manually map them as results, capture as manual mapping. Okay, cool. So let's come here and let's go to edit queries, and let's try. Oh, actually, this is gonna be fun. So let's try. Oh gosh. Master table. Let's try that. So master table. Let's have Avi Singh, and let's have Sahil Bakshi. ID 1, 2, and hit. So let's say this is your SQL table, right, with the IDs, and then we have another table. Come on, Power BI. Okay, there it is. And then we have another table. Which is kind of SharePoint data. So SharePoint data, and this one is, what is it? This one is, names. And let's try Avi Singh. So this is going to be an exact match. Avi dot Singh. Let's try with a space. Somebody put a space by mistake at the beginning, space at the end, and then I don't know, Avi Singh, maybe Singh Avi. Oh man, we're really pushing it. Right? Okay. Anything else? Did I do dot? Okay, that's as many combinations I can
The
do.
worst I've seen is on that actual list.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the actual name is there's a prefix. So there's a
Oh
so
shoot. Yeah,
so
that's
if
probably gonna
it's
kill it.
ABC, it'll have like uh, so it's Avi Singh, right? So maybe it's
Yeah.
Power BI brackets Avi Singh or something like that.
Yeah, because they're putting in a reminder. I mean, I kind of, yeah, I do that sometimes. I don't think it's gonna catch that one. But we're gonna have a process to figure out the rest, right? So imagine this list is just uncontrolled. So that's why we have the other steps too. So we're gonna do the exact match and the fuzzy match, and then manually kind of map the rest. So we're here, and I'm gonna do merge queries, and I want to match this with the master. Now for now, let me just do exact matching only, right? So this will be exact matching, and if I expand that, and I really only need the well, actually, let's do both so that we can kind of debug and see. So I mean, as expected, it only matched the exact match, right? So that's the first option, and I think that should be a first pass, right? So this will be actually maybe I should have done it differently. Let me try that again. So we'll bring in the source query. So there is master, all right, SQL clean as a whistle, right? And this one is the other one we got in. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna reference this one, and I'm gonna call it exact match. And this one, let's repeat our steps again. So we go master. Oh, oops. Yes, the master names, exact match, and hit OK. And perfect. So we got one exact match. So this one we're like 100% confident. We're absolutely sure, right? Let's try fuzzy matching. So SharePoint, and then we'll say fuzzy match. This one we're gonna try merge queries again with the master. But the only difference is we're gonna check this box, use fuzzy matching. There's some options as well, which I frankly haven't really played with. Similarity threshold, you can play with that if you want. I'll trust the PowerBIPro team use the best default. So actually, let's see, maximum number of matches. There should be one. Oh, interesting. Let's just see how it works with default, and then we'll come back.
Showing that six out of
Actually,
seven rows, the first.
oh,
If you look at the
that
bottom.
yeah, that's good. Let's try this. So, and we're gonna expand this, and master ID. That's good. I think the Power BI one, yep. So that one didn't match. But hey, man, I mean, this is pretty cool. So I had thrown everything, right? There's a dot, there's a space at the beginning, there's a space at the end, there's a slash, there's Sing Avi. I'm really impressed, man. I mean, this is really cool, right? So, but what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to validate the results, because just because in this scenario it got things generally right doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time. So you're going to kind of export this, capture this, whatever, and then kind of validate it. Of course, in your case, it's not going to be Avi Singh repeated. You're going to have like a deduplicated list of whatever names are coming in, right? Something like that. So you kind of validate it, and we'll come back to that. And then you're going to have a manual table. So and you would keep it in Excel and maintain it there. I'm not going to do it in Excel just so I can move a little bit faster. So manual name, manual mapping, right? So here, all of the exceptions, which you can, the silly ones, which like, gosh, man, I mean, how do I handle that? You can map them something like that and say, pro Sahil Bakshi matches with, Sahil Bakshi. Okay, let's try this. And I'm gonna add in, and this will be manual mapping. So again, the good thing is that since you would rule out the the exact match is already taken care of, fuzzy matches you've already validated. The good news is that your manual mapping table should be really small, and that's what we're hoping for. We don't want like a big long table. Let's come back here, and I wanted to do the pro. Oh, another thing. Oh, it is case sensitive. Another thing you can try, even for the exact match, is to bring it all lowercase if you wanted to. We can try that. So let's actually try. Go back to master. This is Avi Singh, but SharePoint. Let's come back here. And yeah, I didn't play with the case, but Avi Singh, Avi Singh, and Avi Singh. So none of these guys would match. Oops. So if you go to exact match, notice that none of these matched, but that's a little too extreme. So what you can do is, for exact match, you can lowercase or uppercase name or something like that, add a separate column match based on that. Cool. So again, kind of this three-pronged approach. Exact match, this you're going to be almost 100% confident. The only case we're ignoring is two people with the same name, right? So if you ignore that, exact match, 100% confident. The fuzzy matching is good, but I would encourage that you kind of, no way. Oh my gosh, it didn't match this. Didn't match this, but it did match this. Oh gosh, crazy. This is insane. And of course, it didn't have any trouble with the case sensitivity either. But again, I mean, exact match, if we can match it in exact match, we don't have to worry about this. And what I would also do is, maybe I would do it in a stream, and I would say exact match and then a fuzzy match. Or maybe yeah, let's try this. So let's duplicate this. Exact match plus fuzzy. So the first match was exact, and maybe we're going to repeat a fuzzy match in the same one. So we're going to go back, master. Oops, yeah, that makes sense. Names, and this right here, use fuzzy matching. And then you can do a column, which is to filter out the ones that didn't match. So you're gonna say if this one mastered ID equals null, and the other ID, so both of them are null, so exact match didn't work, then did not match, else null. Okay, let's try that. Shoot, that didn't work. Let's try one type to logical. What did I do wrong? Okay, got it. Equals null. Let's try that again. Cool. So here, doing it in this way, basically, now you can focus on these and say that, hey, the ones that did not match, I'm gonna look to build a manual mapping, and the ones that did not have an exact match, if it exact match, then that's good. If it did not exact match, but there is a fuzzy match, then I'll validate it kind of myself, and so forth. And what that's going to mean is that somehow, imagine if it got it wrong, like if it mapped it to the wrong person using fuzzy matching, what you're going to do is you're going to add that in a manual mapping, and manual mapping will override that fuzzy mapping. Cool. So I've given you some ideas. I think
quick question.
That's like, yeah, that's the best lemonade we can make out of the lemons you've been handed.
One thing though, so when you're doing the manual mapping,
yeah,
once I have that list prepared, do I just connect it to the master table, and how do I just a bit confused on that one?
Yeah. So
say if I have the data available on the, I create that data for manual mapping. What's the next step?
Yeah. So let's continue on this one. Exact match plus fuzzy. All right. So you know what? Let's take it home. At least I'll try to do the next step. So this one, we used exact match. Maybe hold on one second. Expanded master ID. I'll rename these ones exact, and then merge queries expanded, and this one is fuzzy and fuzzy. Okay. Okay. Go master. Exact is null and fuzzy is null. Okay, so far we have the exact ID in some cases, the fuzzy ID in other cases, and these ones did not match, right? So now we have the manual mapping, right? So oh shoot, in this case, Avi Singh is the only one that didn't match. So what we're gonna do is do another merge, and this time we're gonna do a manual, merge it with a manual mapping. So we're gonna say get these names, the ones that are coming from SharePoint, and now go to manual mapping, and match these as an exact match. And let's manual name, manual mapping. Okay, cool. And manual should have stuck with the same thing. Maybe you can remove the ID anyway. Manual. Okay. Oops, I messed up. Manual mapping. This should have been. Sorry, this should have been an ID. So in the manual mapping ID, we're gonna say 1 and 2, and come back here, and let's try that again. So manual mapping, we're gonna mapping ID. Let's try that. Okay, so manual dot name, manual dot ID. I'm just changing the column name. Okay, so let's review what we have. And can I copy this stuff in Excel? That would make it so easy. Ooh, oh my gosh, thank you, Microsoft, for letting me do that. Okay, so for now, whenever we have a mapping, we have the ID, right? But for ID is what we care about. Actually, yeah, let me hide these ones. So let's just focus on ID. No match, got it, and all right. So if you look at this, what I'm gonna build is something like this in query editor, right? So final ID, right? So how would I build the final ID? Now, in my mind, somebody could argue, but I would say that the manual mapping, or actually, you know what? Let's say, oh shoot, this is going to be this is going to be easier in query editor, I think. So what I'm basically saying is, if exact ID is there, let's just write it out. So if exact ID is available, use that, right? If exact ID is available, use that. If exact ID is available, use that. Else, use manual mapping. So manual mapping, it goes next, because manual mapping may have to override fuzzy mapping if fuzzy mapping got it wrong, right? So else use manual mapping, and then I'm not sure. Else we do use else use fuzzy, something like that. You're gonna have to work in that. Right, so that's kind of the logic. So if we try that logic in our query editor, so we're just gonna say custom column, and let's say final ID, and we will say, so first, if manual ID is not null, we're going to use that. Oh, actually, we had said that we're going to start with the exact ID. So if there was an exact match, null, then exact ID, right? So then return that. Else, if we have a manual ID, use that next. Then use manual ID. That gives you a chance to, I'm not sure. Oh, why? What is it? Why is it not happy?
You need another else, right?
Yeah. Else the fuzzy ID. Okay, now it's happy. All right. Somehow it didn't let me do that. New line. And I think in our scenario okay. So I think I messed up maybe the like the. Some of them are text, some of them are numbers, but yeah, I mean we ended up with kind of everything matched. So right, so yeah, so we'll go kind of step by step. So I'll save this file, and I'll show you where you can find this file, and you can use that, and of course you can have the recording as well. Hey, that was good. That was a good question.
Thanks, man. This is
All right.
tougher than it looked like, so. But hey, the solution works though. It's temporary, but it does work.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, you have been handed some lemons in this tricky scenario, and I think that's the best way we can make lemonade out of it. So there was a time when I was working with a client at Microsoft, a finance manager there, and one day I walked in really apologetic about the complexity of the model. And he was such a nice guy, and he kind of saw a bigger picture, and he put a hand on my shoulder and said, Avi, don't I mean, you're overthinking it. And what he said was that, Avi, your model is complex because it's reflecting the complexity in the system. And I was like, whoa, that makes sense, right? So sometimes, I mean, I would love for things to be elegant and clean, right? And all models to look like this. But sometimes it's not the case. And of course, part of me kind of feels queasy, but at least sometimes you got to acknowledge that sometimes the systems that we deal with, kind of the real world systems, they are complex. And some of it is going to bleed over to Power BI. But still, Power BI gives us a little bit of a sane way of managing it. Now, I've seen something similar to what you're talking about, kind of the customer names. I've seen where people had like a 1,000 or 1,000 plus cost centers, sometimes thousands of cost centers. And what they were doing was maintaining a manual table of all 1,000 because they needed to change a few of them. Now, of course, that's Power BI, you don't have to do that. You can do what I call manage by exception, where you can let it do the exact match, let it do the fuzzy match, but only the ones that fell out, only the ones that didn't match out of it, only that small list do you maintain by manual mapping. So again, in your case, it's not that big a list, 180, but again, in their case, it was a list of thousands, and I said, well, you're only changing 5 of these. Why don't you just give me those 5 in a manual mapping, and I'll kind of overlay that on top of that. So yeah, man, Power BI helps you in those kind of real world complexity scenarios. Okay, let's add something here. So this was, we had the previous order date. This was for was it Timothy? Jeff. Wait, no, Timothy. Timothy, we got that one. And let's do this one. I just want to drop something here to let us know that there's some goodness here. Manual map. I forgot which one was our final table. Oh, this one, I think. So we're gonna do this. Oh, great. What was it? Manual names. Let's try that. And do we have a final ID? Let's go with that. Okay, so save the file. Power BI 2019, and this is happening in October 11th. So this was Sahil and Timothy. Okay, let's just do the names. All right, folks. So, oh, oops, I keep launching Internet Explorer. Let me check in on the YouTube chat and see how you guys are doing. What was I gonna do? Oh, talk Power BI. Get the link. Oh, actually, I can point you to Special Pass. Yeah. So if you go to the Special Pass, that has the link to the Power BI files, and you're gonna have to look to in the 2019 folder, maybe sort it, but that's
Well, I
where.
know the path. I
Oh,
took out the
perfect.
file last week as well.
Okay, perfect, great. So, yeah, and folks, so this is for the students, the Talk Power BI Special Pass. But if you join talkpowerbi.com, then you will also get access to our notes and the files in there. All right, mate. So I know you had more questions, but let's check in with some of the other folks, and then we'll circle back. All right, so let's go back to here. Awesome, great. So let's check in on the chat. So oh gosh, sorry. I used to use Explorer to run the YouTube live, so I keep launching that. I don't do that anymore. I'm using Chrome at least today. All right, so let's see. What do we have? Eric is saying, looks like our agent's stable. That thing is a mess. Prefix issues as well. So great. Hopefully, Eric, you got some ideas as well. Is embed a pro feature? It's actually, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. I like that one. James says hello from Seattle. Ramesh is saying, I've sent you an email, please check. Absolutely, will do. So let me answer Vaibhav's question, and then I'll check in again on the phone and the pre-submitted questions. All right, so let's do this. 10:49. So Vaibhav is asking, is embed a pro feature? So somebody once said that, oh, you need a PhD to understand Microsoft pricing. I'm not sure that's true. I would like to believe it's not. And frankly, when I'm talking to clients, and again, when I say clients, could be internal, external, doesn't matter. I would say that I do simplify it. Somebody can accuse me of oversimplifying it, but I'm okay with that. So I say, usually my responses are in this order. I would say, what do you mean? It's free. And it is free, right? So say, what are you talking about? And they'll say, no, it's $10 per day. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? It's free, man. Just go to Power BI Desktop and download that, and you're good to go. That's a place to start. That's got everything, and which is not true, but that's okay, right? That is the right place to start. So I want them to start here, right? I want them to start here, and then when they say, oh my man, this is awesome. And of course, sometimes I build something for them, and they come back and say, oh my God, this is awesome, great. And then they often say, hey, I want to share this with my manager. Or they usually have already done it or they say, oh yeah, I sent him the PBIX file and something. So either they come to you asking that, hey, I want a way to share, or you suggest it as a next step. Oh, by the way, they also have this, which makes it easy to share with others. And then I say, I don't mention the cost. I say free trial. So there's a free trial. Just go to powerbi.com and sign up. It's a free trial. It's free, right? So and then I have them do that, and then kind of for sharing, and then they come back and I'll just say Power BI pricing in general. And then they come back and say, oh, this is awesome, we love it, and oh man, but the trial is running out, or it already ran out. And they say, oh cool, don't worry, it's just so awesome, it's just $10 per user per month. And they go from there. Why do I do it this way? I'm not tricking them into anything, right? And everything that I said is true, right? But I do this because what I've seen is this effect where misinformed decisions, right? So of course, and I get the same thing, for Avi, your course is too expensive, right? So I get this. And so both of these, so is Power BI is well, so they will say $10. Let me think about it, right? So Like, I'm not sure, right? So, which is the same thing. Like, they're not sure about the cost. But the thing is, for both of these scenarios where somebody's saying my course is too expensive, well, let me put it this way. If I said that, hey, you give me $10 and I'll give you $100, would you do it? You would absolutely do it, right? And if I said, hey, if you give me $1,000 and I'll give you 10,000, right? Even if you don't have $1,000 in your bank, you're gonna go find it out, right? And so we don't see the other side of the value. So there are two things that we fail to see, right? So we see the cost, but we do not see the value, right? So do not see. So what would it get me, right? What would the new life look like? We don't quite see that, right? So, and again, I mean, I live in constant awe of our students, of our student community. A lot of them have been featured. They're consistently featured on our channel. There's these success stories. They're somewhere down here. They should be higher up. But yeah, I mean, if you ask me, like, this is probably some of the best stuff on the channel, right? Because yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? So they don't know that yet. That's why they're saying something like this. And another thing that they don't think about is cost of not doing anything, right? I mean, if you don't enroll in a structured course, if you don't enroll in some place which has a community around you and gives you that support, helps you in that journey, how much slower would that progress be? I mean, for how many years would you struggle? I mean, if you project your life a few years out, how would that be different? Like 2 years from now, where would that be? What's not, right? So there's a cost of not doing anything. And of course, if you look at companies, the cost of not learning Power BI in a structured way could be that you keep struggling with Power BI. I keep hearing people say, oh, this is easier in Excel. And of course, some people keep going back to Excel. It's like, oh, I just solved it in Excel or SQL or whatever the tool of choice is. It's like, oh man, I gave up. I can do it. I just solved it in Excel or SQL. And of course, that's usually not ideal, right? So there's a cost to that. And of course, a lot of them just give up. They continue to live in the systems of where it's a spaghetti of data and formulas and all that stuff, right? So there's a cost to that. So that's what I'm trying to do by walking them through this path. That I want them to see the other side, and I want them to be able to contrast it. Hey, we know what our old lives looked like. That was hard, but here's this new life, and now we know. So now they're making an informed decisions. And of course, at this point, it's usually a no-brainer. Okay, so that was a little bit of a segue, but I know your question was about embedded. So let's start there. So let's talk about Power BI embedded. That one is not even pro. A Power BI embedded starts at $750. But I have a feeling you were not asking about that and goes up from there. Right? You were talking about just embedding a Power BI report. Okay, so the answer is it's free if your data is not sensitive. You can do publish to web, right? So you can do publish to web, and that's free. Let's see if I can bring that up. What did you do? Oops, didn't work. PowerBI.com. Right. So, but what if my data is sensitive, right? Otherwise, it is paid. It is $10 per user per month. Secure embed. That's what it's called. And this will be for I'm not sure what so this was Wabo, what your reaction is going to be to this. It's $10 for each user viewing the report. Each user viewing the report. And sometimes this seems, well, I mean, if you're like, oh, I'm going to publish this report, but it's going to have hundreds of users. In the structure, yeah, each of those 100 users need to have payloads if you secure embed. All right, so Wabo, let me know what you think, what your reaction is, if that helped or not. And what I'm going to do is also kind of try to show you the secure embed option and warn everybody again about the publish to web. So let's go workspaces. And we have demo. All right, so let's go to one of the reports. Customer profitability. Let's try that. So the publish to web is okay. It's right there. Oops. Let's try that again. So publish to web is here, right? So is this report for public access by anyone on the internet? So if you click that, then it does give you a warning. And guys, we're used to ignoring this, but I think this one is important. Yeah, it's gonna be publicly available, and this is where people. Oh wow, another warning. Really? Okay. Okay, finally click publish. That's great. And this is where people get it wrong, where they look at this URL and say, oh, that's impossible to guess, which it is. But guys, the world doesn't work this way. You know, me and my son and I, we always joke about how, well, I mean, these companies, kind of Facebook and all of that, man, they know everything about us. Google knows everything about everything there is. So it's not humans you need to be concerned about. It is the machines. So I'll show you something here. Let's go to google.com. Speaking of Google. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab that URL. And actually, I'm going to trim everything in here. Let's see how this works. Let's try site. So these ones are all the reports published to web. And Google has them. Google has probably all of your reports. If Google doesn't, because they can't crawl it well, Bing probably certainly does. And you know what? I'm not even going to click to open to show these reports because I have no idea that, you know, again, people do this. They publish to web thinking that nobody can guess it, but it's out there. Look at that. 38,500 results. That is insane, right? So publish to web, guys, beware. I mean, you know, if you have sensitive data, I don't want to lose a job, right? So be very careful. Be very careful. I actually have a trick to publish to web, keep it secure for free, but you know, I'll save that for later. All right, so publish to web, and that's one. But then the secure embed is right here, which is well, it should have been secure embed. I would have liked that name, but you know, it says right here, security embed, and you can do that, and it gives you a similar code. It looks similar, but it's very different. It's very different. Because when somebody tries to, so let me just do this. So let me grab this URL. So all of these are public, and if I click on that, it'll give me the report, right? So, and I'm not going to do that because who knows? You know, I don't want somebody to come back like, hey, you know, my data was published and you showed it on YouTube now, whatever, right? So if you do this, so notice this was a secure embed. It asks for credentials. It asks for credentials, which is good, which means it's secure, but that also means you need a license, right? So. Yeah, so cool. So let me check in. So Webho, I didn't hear back from you yet. Let me know if that helped. Okay, cool. James says, okay, so yeah, Jim, I hear you, mate. So hey, reach out to us if so the enrollment is officially closed. It's kind of what we say by invite only. So reach out to us via email. So Marianne on my team, she's the one who handles kind of communication. So let her know that Avi sent you. All right. Otherwise, she'll say, oh, you know, sorry, the course is closed. So cool. Yeah, mate. I mean, it's so many things. And hey, I'm no different than others. So the pro level that I talked about. I was afraid of that for so long, and of course, those who were there, this was a few Talk Power BIs ago, where I broke down and I was crying, you know, tears streaming down my face, talking about the struggle that I went through to get over that, and I think the thing is that, so what are the keys to success? What are the keys to success? And I'm glad that my coach simplified it for me. So the keys to success are really simple. You either serve more people or solve bigger problems. Serve more people, solve bigger problems. Serve more people, solve bigger problems. That's it, right? And I would say I lean more towards serving people, But what I've seen is that every time I've kept the focus on me, I trip myself up, right? Because I feel insecure. I'm like, oh gosh, no, I mean, this is a bad idea. They're gonna hate it. They're gonna throw stones at me. All that sort of stuff. And when I put that away and I think about, hey, how can I serve? Who can I serve? And one thing that I do, which really helps me, is that I kind of personalize it in the sense that, of course, I'm thankful for each and every subscriber that's out there. We have like 30,000 plus now, which is crazy. You know, it's projected that we're gonna have 100,000 by the end of 2020, which is insane, right? But sometimes that number kind of doesn't make any sense to me, and so instead, what I like doing is I ask it in terms of one person. I say, is there one person out there? Is there one person who I can help? And I want you to do the same, right? So is there one person out there who you can help? If the answer is yes, go find them and help them, right? And that's easy, right? So yeah, and yeah, you know. Anyway, all right. So let's see how we're doing up. So what we wanted to do was stay honest to the pre-submitted questions. So Ramesh said that they sent in a question. Yes, I got it. All right, so I also want to check with Alexander and Ola. I don't think I've heard from you. Maybe you guys joined. But since Ramesh is here, Ramesh, let's look at your question. Oh my gosh, you sent me an AdventureWorks file. You gotta love you for that. That's awesome. Okay. I'm just gonna download that and see how that goes. Oh, no, not happy. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna get that file. 2019. I should know the date by now, 2010-11. And Ramesh. Ranking at hierarchy. I might have. Hey, have you seen my? Have you tried that? What was I gonna say? Have you tried? There's a ranking video on my channel, which I think, I mean, by the like the way you described the question, it may be exactly that. So rank within a group. Q&A. Somebody else had asked this question earlier. Let's see. So I'm gonna check kind of your file. Where did that go? And I feel the way you worded it is similar. Hey, by the way, Ramesh, if you're still on, just say hello. That way I know that I can ask you a question if I need some clarification. Ranking within a hierarchy. So, wait, I'm not sure why. So ranking in product category. Okay, well, maybe I spoke too soon. So the file seems to be. Let me read your question. Let's go with that. Let's time it. So 11:06. Ramesh ranking within a hierarchy. 42:03. Okay. If you have a product, or a country table, the product country hierarchy, and I want to rank each level of the hierarchy. Yeah. Let's see what this video is. Yeah, that's interesting. Each level of the hierarchy. Boy, so this is actually. Let me go back to. Oh man. Sorry guys, I should have. Popped out of the chat. Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, so Ramesh, you've seen the video. So guys, it's kind of uncanny because, um, um, yeah, this I was working on it this week because we're building out this pro content. So by the way, just really quickly, mm, um, anyway, let me just show you the file. So let me show rank X, and I wouldn't be able to share the file with you because that is part of a program, but I can show the solution. Oh shoot, rank files, there we go. So I think what you're asking is, in the scenario, and I had built this for our sales team where we had a customer and I wanted to show the customer rank globally. I wanted to show their rank in their country and in their state, something like that. And of course, you can take a product and say, what does this product rank across all the products? What about the products in its own category? What about the products in its own subcategory? And the solution is pretty simple. Rank X, and hierarchy, V1. Now I've forgotten, why did we do V2? Is V2 better? Oh, I think V2 is better. I'll give you V2. All right. So let's take a look at this though. Oh, global is easy, but rank X state. Ah, gosh, it's a little bit more complicated than I expected. What about this one? What about this one? Country. That's not bad. So what you do is, in this case, I have selected a specific customer, Stephanie Collins, right? And to get a global rank, that one is easy, right? So say across all the customers, the whole world, you just say rank X all customer, right? But then what if you want to rank it only in that country? So what you do is you first grab their country. So you figure out what is their country. And let me see, Stephanie Collins, and this one. And I wanted to pull this and select the customer and do what is their country. Country, state. Let's try that. Okay. Data labels, category labels, perfect. Okay, so let's try size. Okay, this is good. This is good. Right, so you can see that we have Stephanie, who's in the United States, as in California. So globally, she's 615th, but how does she rank within her country? And so the country rank, what you do is you grab the customer country. So this one returns United States. And then instead of saying all customer, you say no, all customer, but only in that specific country, right? So see how simple it is? I mean, I hope it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, so again, look at the first one, and this one is simple. It's like, hey, rank this one against all customers, and the only thing that we really changed was this, we got specific here, like, no, not really, not all, everybody in that country, but we just did it step by step. So first we gather the country, which is United States, and then we say, well, all customers, but their country has to be United States, and that's it. That gives it a rank. So I'm gonna put this in the chat window. Hopefully, is it gonna work in the chat window? Nope, it's not happy. Oh, it's too big. Oh shoot! Come on. Let's try that again. Okay, so we got that, and All right, so it's in two parts. Hopefully, you're able to put that two together, and that's it. Right. So cool. So Ramesh, let me know if that kind of made sense. If that you feel kind of sets you on the right path. Perfect. So that was good. All right. So I'm trying to keep this in my head. So we've been trying to take some questions on. So let me check in on the phone, folks. If you have any questions, and by the way, if you're on the phone, it's okay to interrupt me. It's okay to say, hey, Avi, can you, hold on a second and ask me a question.
I do have one, but I'll probably wait for anyone else to ask first.
All right. Well, we got Charles and Jeff. Going once, going twice, going thrice. Sahil, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Okay, so I've sent you a file.
Okay, cool. While I'm bringing up a file, guys, check out Sahil Bakshi, the Power BI jump roper, and like, follow, heart, subscribe, whatever, or he's on Instagram. And I'll showcase my favorite again. Oh my gosh, on the streets of Mumbai with the background and the graffiti and so forth, and really cool. Hey, man, that's called the thing that you do. It's called a mic drop, right? Where you leave one of the handles. I'm gonna call it. I don't know if that's the right
So
term.
I asked someone what it's called, so I learned it from someone. It's called mic drop for some reason. I'm not
Mic
sure why.
drop.
Yeah, it's not
Interesting.
mic for some reason. It's mic, but
Okay.
that's pretty weird. But
All
yeah, you
right.
can play around with that so much.
All right. So guys, yeah, you gotta check out his. Wait, what is it called? Instagram. What do you call it? Instagram profile page?
Profile, I guess.
Profile. Okay, cool. Instagram is the one which it's funny, right? I mean, I think so. I've been in the U.S. for like 20 years, and we saw the kids grow up, like not just my own, but all of our friends' kids as well. And it's funny this trend how the kids kind of flee the adults, right? I mean, as soon as the grown ups, the parents arrived on Facebook, all the kids fled, and now I believe they're mostly on Snapchat and Instagram and things like that. So, but hey, we'll catch up. We're not that far behind. All right. So got your file test PBIX, right? That's the one.
Mm-hmm. So this has, I believe, a data table and a date table as well. Now, this is probably an exact match of how the data looks on my
Okay.
actual model. So I
Okay.
try to replicate it as much as I could.
Okay. Tell me, can you say your question in like one sentence? I'll use that as a headline.
It's going to be a big sentence, but okay. I'm trying to add six. Uh, I'm trying to show previous 6 months data or previous n month. We call it last n months data
Okay.
for two different data types on the same graph.
Got it. Okay. Okay. My gut instinct is that it should be straightforward, but of course, I remember the example where we're doing the middle of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And man, in the end, it
Well,
was simple, but it took me a while
it
to
was a
get there.
headbanger. It was.
Yeah.
So
But yeah.
I've
Anyways, all
actually
right.
did try a solution. So not the solution for this, but so if you'll see my file, I've had a few measures created, and
Okay.
so I got those measures out of the community, and so it did help me create those uh, 6 months previous last 6 months data, and it worked fine when I was showing them individually on those graphs. So there's a table that has, say, the number of sales. So I called
Mm-hmm.
it sales in the sample I sent you. So say it has the number of sales. So if I show a graph that shows last 6 months of sales
Mm-hmm.
based on the month slicer that I have right now, it
Yeah.
works well.
Yeah.
But if I want to add on the other data, which is the errors on those
Yeah.
sales, those
Yeah.
transactional errors, it won't work. And you'll see why it won't work because that's how the last n month measure was created. Because I'm referring to a month
Something
and a
in the sales
year.
table, aren't you?
Yeah, so yeah, we're referring
Yeah.
it. We created this a
Yeah.
year and a month in the sales table, and that's why it's not working.
Yeah, but dude, there is no hope of making that work. I mean, you really need to work off of the calendar table.
That's what
So,
I'm hoping that if we can
yeah.
find a way to find those last 6 months, create a measure that works for the last 6 months, but not based out of my sales table or my error table.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, let's see. So, let me see. Uh, I last 6 months. Oh, time intelligence year over year, rolling averages. I think this might get us close. We're gonna look at another time intelligence. Mm. Come on, max calendar minus 30 day. Yeah, so I think that is our pattern, and we're gonna use that. Mm. And if that's okay, maybe I'll just stick to kind of adventure works. All right, so in here, if I can say, oh, new measure, and we'll say sales last, and of course you can change that 6 to n months. That shouldn't be a problem. Last 6 months, and I say calculate, give me sales for dates in period and calendar date, and let me cheat off of that. Calendar date max to minus 30 day. Perfect. So we'll say, so start with the kind of the most recent date. So imagine I'm showing June 2019, then this will give me that, and then minus 6 month. Would that work? I think that would work. Dates in period is almost mystical. Okay, let's try that. So let's go. Maybe I should have done order count. Doesn't matter. Let's try order count. Okay, so we have this. So of course, so folks, what I'm going to build here is what I call a working table. It has almost nothing to do with how the data is actually going to be displayed. It's just me putting something together so I can make sense of the measures. Just write the measure. I can wrap my head around it. Size, come on. Oh, there we go. Oh, weird. Okay, that's good enough, and I'll probably just make it smaller. Hopefully so small that I can do the numbers in my head. Bike racks, brakes, gaps, change something cleaners. Okay, this is good enough, I guess. And in here, order count, let's change it to 3 months. Less math for me. And let's try it out. Oh shoot, why is it? How format whole number? Perfect. Okay, so the first month where the measure is relevant is this one, It seems right. 9, 7, 16, 6, 6, 12, 34, 156. Perfect, right? So it's doing the right thing, right? At least for this one, I think generally. So that's it, right? I mean, kind of dates and period, and of course, I will say go through this lesson. I'll put a link in our chat window here.
Would this work on a graph though? As in,
Oh, of course it would. Yeah, yeah,
so if I have like a slicer on top of
yeah. So let's
say month,
try. Let's remove this. Well, yeah, I mean, graphs are based on lists. Often when I'm debugging a graph, I change it to a list so I can debug it. But uh, let's do graph, and yeah, let's try the budget for the same thing. Yeah, you can use the same pattern. So let's kind of take you home for this one because I know you had like two tables and all that stuff. So if we keep this one. Um, let's try. Hold on one second. Let me filter down to 1 year. AdventureWorks always has a little bit funky data.
maybe if you could just go to 1 month of a year so that it's easier to see if it's working.
What 1 month of a year would give you just two values. It wouldn't be much of a graph.
So the idea was that if I was to look at, say, October 2019, I would get data for 3 months back as well. I would see the values for 3 months back as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's giving you, right? I mean, so March 16, it shows you with this month, but it shows you 3 months. And yeah, you can graph it, you can put in a card. That works, right?
Is, is that summing it?
Yes. Do you want something else?
I wanted to show the individual values on the graph, as in, okay, sales for. So if I'm looking at, maybe I explained it wrong. So if I'm looking at sales for October,
Yeah.
I want the graph to show me the sales for September and then August as well, not separately. So
Oh, okay, okay. Let's see. Let's see. So, what you're saying is you okay? So you want? Oh, okay, got it, got it. Okay, I went in the wrong direction, but that's okay. Hopefully, folks, you learned something new that was rolling out. Right. So what you're saying is that I want to select a month, but I want to show more months than that. Man, that is a
exactly.
surprisingly hard problem. In fact, I'm actually even surprised. I mean, I know of some solutions, but none of them are fun. So, so let me see how. Oh man, how are you?
So
Ooh,
the idea I
so
used was I created two new columns, once the month and once the month number, and then the actual measures under the sales with the brackets of last and month.
oh
That's the actual
man,
measure.
this is insane. So, so okay, okay. So you're saying I want to see. So what does this filter mean? Like this filter is
Uh,
saying show me data till July?
so it's uh, so it's like I will look at this data. So if I'm looking at this data in October, so it's October right now, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see the last 6 months trend. I want to see how
Oh,
sale.
oh gosh, yeah. So um, I wouldn't solve it this way. This is way. This feels hard for me. Yeah, this feels way too hard.
It's
So
very restrictive, to be honest, because now I can't bring in.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So I'll share with you kind of what I went through. So um, well, this is how the ultimate calendar table was born, by the way. I had built a report for the sales team, and it was a like a year report, right? So whatever year we were in, whatever 2016, and it showed them 2016 numbers, and I knew that I had hard coded the filter, so I had hard coded the year as 2016, not in here, maybe in the filter pane or something, and I had to go back in at the beginning of the year and change it to 2017, and I thought that was going to be easy. But you know how it works, man. When you're an analyst, it's like a death by a thousand cuts. You have so much on your plate. It took me a month and a half to get down to doing it, and of course that was not acceptable. So I wanted something where if I want to show like the last 6 months, it's always going to be the last 6 months. So the way that I would recommend it. So let me just show you the way, and then you can get from there. So page three, Sahel. So let's say in your report you always want to show the last 6 months, right? Always. So and you don't want to touch anything, right? I mean, if it's October, and usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that you want to show last 6 completed months. So most people don't want to show like a partial month. So I don't want to see October while in the middle of October. So August, September, and 6 months prior, right? So, and of course, as soon as it goes to November, I don't want to come in and hack anything, change anything. It just should work automatically. So
Just that the person just needs to change the to say if it's the new month now, just change the month from that month slicer, and then it should automatically show you the last 6 months. That one thing is one flexibility I'm allowing to all the team members, that if you say if I was just wanted to see how things were back in July,
Yeah.
and then also see July and 6 months prior. So
okay, that's actually harder. but let's see for now that we want to keep it automatic. That it automatically resets November. It's showing 6 months back from November. So for that, let's just do kind of sales by month here. So sales. Oh man, this is gonna be tricky because of my data set. Because the data set doesn't have 2019, but that's okay. Let's go in there. Sales, and I'm gonna put calendar, and I'm gonna drag month year onto this. Cool. So it's right now showing all data set. Let me just get in there and let me just save this as a new file. So this is Sahel last n months. Oh really? Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna change the data set so that we have more current data. Let me see. I think we had data till 2016. Yes, we did. So edit queries, and okay, I think that's good enough. So we're gonna say is sales and order date transform date. I thought there was a way to add years. Statistic. Huh.
you could my data if you wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, if it helps, I'm using your calendar. So.
All right. Yeah, actually, that might work. Let's see. So let's try a new page, and we have sale. Let's just do a new measure sales. Oh man, I shudder at the sight of that. Okay, let's see what we come up with. Equals sum, and sum is just value, right? Is that the thing?
Yeah. So you wouldn't need to do a sum. For this one, it's just the values are just there. So for 1 month, you have a cumulative value already available. So.
Okay. All right, and oh man, yeah, this is missing a few things though. This calendar table, might have to change that one. Okay, anyway, so let's try sales, and let's stick the new calendar table in. Calendar, where are you? Calendar, here you are. And okay, so it's gonna remove. Let's go back here. Oh shoot, didn't want that. I want to edit queries. Okay, and we go calendar. Oh, I think we had just removed some columns. Okay, that's easier. All right, folks. So to recap, what we're trying to solve for is to always show the last 6 months, and then we're going to worry about later that how can we let the users adjust that. Okay, so now we have our full calendar table, and oops, month year is going to need some work. Sort by month year num, perfect. And I'm gonna, all right, so this has, oh shoot, but this only has August data. Okay, I think we can work with this. So let's see. Let's hack the calendar table. Let's travel back in time. So calendar table, and there's this thing which says current date, and I'm going to hack that to be somewhere in July maybe, or maybe September. So current date. Okay, so we're gonna make it 2019. Let's say August. Yes, August 15th. Doesn't really matter. August 15th. So we're pretending current date is August 15th. So this, let's try that again. So it's all based on what are called this concept of offsets in the ultimate calendar table, and I'm gonna bring that one in current month offset, and we'll say maximum. And we have both for the current month, for current year, I think current week. You could have offsets for anything, and what it does is 0 always marks the current month. And of course I hacked that one because our data was until October and beyond, right? So I hacked it, but otherwise, by default, the calendar table, it will say for today, October 2019 is the current month, and the one before that is -1, -2, -3, -4, right? And so forth. And of course, in future, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So, interesting. Yeah. So, wait, why don't we have future months in the calendar table? There's something there. Usually the future months. Okay, anyway, let's not worry about that now. But oops, let's come back here. So of course, in here to show the last 6 months, the problem is like really simple. All you do is show me -1 through -6, and that's it, right? So 1, 2, 3, and it will always automatically adjust, right? So I messed up this calendar. Don't use this file because I'm hard coded the date. But all you do is you add that in here and you say current month offset. Add that as a filter for the visual or filter for the page or all pages. Doesn't matter, whatever you're working at. Let's add it for the filter just for that visual. And you will say is less than -1, and it's a negative, so it's always kind of I have to think kind of differently in here, but greater than equal to -6, greater than equal to this, less than equal to this, and that'll be 6 months, and then it'll always show you the last 6 months, right? So again, I mean, I hacked the current date to kind of so that I can showcase this, but it'll automatically in a normal calendar. Ultimate calendar, it'll roll over. So October would show kind of September and 6 months back. When it comes to November, it will show 6 months back, right? So we got kind of step 1 that it'll work automatically. Does this kind of make sense?
It does.
All right. Now, of course, the other one is actually harder, which is you want to give the user the ability to select the month and say, how do things
as
look
soon as
like?
I enter a slicer, it just messes everything up because It,
Yeah.
it like it's like it like neglects everything else, and it focuses just on that month.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you're trying to show a graph. So, but wait, why, uh, I mean, what if you? Let me see. So, what if you just taught them that, hey, kind of change this filter and change this to -12 if you want to see also, or they want to really lock into this n month period. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 3 months.
So the number of months, that's I decided on 6 because
Yeah.
I thought that far back should show enough of a decent trend.
Yeah, yeah, but you
But
can teach them this and say, hey, if you guys want to see more, just hit -12, and then you can see more data, something
but
like that.
you know why that month slicer is actually coming into play? Because I'm not sure if you remember, but I sent you a screenshot of my dashboard.
Yeah.
Uh, that
Uh huh.
report. So
Yeah.
it has a lot of data points, and it's working on those on the basis of those months. So it's like a monthly report. So
Yeah.
it has to have a month slicer on top, and if that month because there's the
Okay.
transactional.
So the rest of the data on the report page is for that specific month, the selected month, and
Yeah.
then you also want to show
So
some
so I have
detail.
around
Yeah.
5 or 6 cards
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are showing you the values for that particular month for just
Yeah.
that month. But
Got
then
it.
you have
Makes
four
sense.
graphs that yeah, you get it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect, perfect. That I got that. I got that. So I have solved this. So so there's one graph which you don't want to. Oh, that was tricky. So one graph which goes longer. Mm, man, that one is tricky. Oh man. So how would you do that? Let me see how you solve this. So, well, actually,
Um,
the
can
solution
I?
isn't
Oh,
really a
sorry.
solution because you're saying it works for one measure but not the other, right?
So it works when I'm so this the one that's currently on my data.
Yeah,
That works when I'm just showing you sales. But if I want to add, so
yeah,
if I use a column plus line chart,
yeah,
I'm not sure what's going. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
when and I try to put in
yeah.
the other
Yep,
uh,
it
other
doesn't
one, it
work.
doesn't work. It doesn't work
Yeah,
because it's not sure how the dates are working, right? Because the
yeah, because you're using sales here.
mhm.
Yeah. So, let me show you something else, which is a similar problem. I think it's going to be interesting for our audience here. Let me see if I can find it. Um,
Maybe if you can visualize what the output I want to see, maybe does that help you?
I think I can see it, and when my mind's eye, I can see it. Yeah. So basically, you have. So let's kind of duplicate this,
I'm
and
just sending you a screenshot of my dashboard that I
yeah.
hit the sensitive bits, but um,
Okay. Okay. Cool. So let's go back to calendar here, and basically, what I think we have is kind of an ear slicer drop down, and I could have grabbed it from there, I guess. Um, yeah, so we can redo this. Oh, come on. Year, month. Why isn't it letting me do that? Okay, anyway.
okay, I just sent it over to you.
Okay. Um, background. Oh, oops. Background. Oh, that's just really horrible. Let me remove the background. Both of them. Okay, so we have these two slices, and so what you're doing is I want to select a month, and then I have these cards which show me sales, which show me other metrics on it on that month, but I want one graph to show the last 6 months, right? Um, I yeah. So in some scenarios, you can solve this by disconnecting the slicer to that. So if, but that's not going to work for us. So I'll show you that other scenario, and
I have
and
tried that one where you can
yeah,
just have that particular
yeah,
graph work without any slicers. That I've
yeah.
tried that measure, but then
It
it
doesn't
doesn't
respect the
work
slicer,
because
right? If they
yeah.
change July to June, it's like, well, how would I know? Because it has no connection with that slicer, right?
Mhm.
So let's video editing. So this is okay, got it. Financial dashboard. Uh, so this is in our pro level, where I build a step-by-step dashboard. Some of that is also on YouTube. But again, I mean, this approach, I want to show it just so if somebody else has a scenario which is like that, and then I'll tell you. So yeah, yeah, and I think I have an idea for how we can solve this, and I think it's a more elegant way, but we'll see. Okay, come on, Power BI.
In my head, it sounds quite simple. As in, why wouldn't this work?
Yeah,
Because
I know.
why wouldn't you want to show why wouldn't you want to show a trend but also show fixed
Current
numbers?
month. Yep, makes absolute sense. So in here, so by the way, this whole edit interaction thing, right? So the one that we're talking. So what we're talking about here is we go to format, edit interactions, and you disconnect this slicer from this, right? So watch what happens when I disconnect this one. I'm gonna see what I was expecting to see more months, but maybe not. Let's try it again. From here, disconnect this here. Oh my gosh, why isn't that working? Maybe because I hard coded something here. Did I? Oh, current month offset. Yep. Okay, let's get rid of that. Perfect. Great. So 2019 July. So let me try that again. I didn't expect to see that. So, oh, perfect. Great. So now the slicers are disconnected, and that's good. So we're seeing more months, but now we lost the control. Since there's no connection between these two, there's no way we can use this value and say, oh, but 6 months from July. So it's like months 2 through 7 or 1 through 6. So so you lose everything. Yeah, so you're back at the square one. Now, in some scenarios, so that's the one that I want to show you here, is that we don't have this relative time frame. So my scenario was that I wanted to show a specific month. So in Microsoft, this was a classic view of a financial report that you would show. I don't know why these got messed up a little bit, but you would show kind of the selected month, right? August 2017, and you showed quarter to date and year to date, and then year end. And man, did I struggle with this one, the year end, right? So these weren't that bad. Month, quarter, day, year to date was good. But year end, even though like a month was selected or something, and in this case, actually a year is selected and so forth. I'm using the current month offset, but it was so hard to show this. And of course, I finally did it by disconnecting these two. So this one, if you'll go to edit interactions, it is, oh, actually, or maybe I didn't. Oh, wow. I did use the other approach that I'm talking about. So I could have solved it easily, but at that time, it's really the edit interactions thing just wasn't available. It just wasn't a feature in Power BI Desktop. So the way I solved it, and I think that could work for you as well, is a separate calendar table. And let's kind of try that out. And for one, the DAX is not gonna break your head. It's gonna make sense. All right, so let's try that. Are you up for it?
Oh yeah.
What time is it over there now? It's past
Uh,
midnight, isn't it?
yep. Uh-huh.
Okay, man, let's keep going. Okay. Um, okay, so we're gonna duplicate this one. and we're gonna say calendar. I don't know what. Let's call it calendar trend. So calendar trend, and this one you can trim it. You don't need to keep all the columns. You can just keep it kind of really light and so forth. And what I would also recommend is to rename the columns, because otherwise that is often recipe for disaster. Like if you pull in by mistake a month from calendar trend, then it'll be bad. So so let's see what's the simplest that I can. So I'm gonna keep the date. I'm gonna keep the month num, and I'm gonna keep maybe month as well. And I'm going to keep maybe current month offset, and I'm going to keep month year num. Let's try that. Remove other columns, and I only plan the, oh shoot, I missed one. By the way, folks, anybody looking to learn query editor, the M language, make sure you turn on the formula bar. I was scared of M as I was scared of DAX, and you turn it on and you look at it enough times till it starts making sense. And that was my first step into M, where, as you saw, I just, instead of doing something in using buttons, I just went in here and typed in the name of the column, right? So that was my first step into messing around in the M code. And very, very rarely do I go into the advanced editor still. All right, cool. So we got the month here. So what I would do is again, you can use a prefix or a suffix, something like that, but I would generally say rename these columns. Otherwise, yeah, it can be kind of tricky. Those mistakes can sometimes be really nasty. Okay, cool. So let's load it in. And calendar trend, and I hope it doesn't automatically connect it to anything. It didn't, which is good, because everything relies on that. Actually, are we going to filter? Oh, shouldn't I take that back? I think we are going to connect these two. So sales, what is this one? So this is going to report date. Okay, cool. So we connect this one there, and of course we can connect the errors as well. Frankly, yeah, it's going to work kind of the same way. All right, so now we have, this one is broken. I'm going to turn this off.
Would you not need to connect both the calendar tables to each other?
No, you don't need that.
Oh.
Usually, it's extremely unusual for two data tables to connect to each other, or two lookup tables to connect to each other. Sometimes we have what I call cascading tables, where you would have like a product table and then like a super product table, and they would connect in a cascade. So sales would connect to product, which would connect to that. Now, of course, when you have that, often it's a good idea to take this and flatten it into here. So normally I talk about it's bad to have like one flat table, which it is, but generally your lookup table, you don't want your lookup table to have lookup tables, so usually you can flatten that. So yeah, normally you don't connect these two, and so forth. All right, so cool. So we're here, and at interactions, and cool. So wrong file. So ignore this one, and let's come back here. So we have two calendar tables, and man, we are in a good spot. So this one is broken. Let me put the title here. Broken. Sad face. But we're gonna build something that works. So I'm gonna copy this. Interesting. And then first thing, I'm gonna remove the month here and add the month year trend. Because now we have hope. Essentially what this is, I mean, this is kind of odd that I've never seen it this way, but earlier we were talking about our measures, and we talked about invoking the God mode, right? I mean, and I talked about this filter all and how that invokes the God mode. Essentially, this is like the God mode equivalent of tables. And I think you'll see what I'm talking about. So for this one, let me fix the title and so forth. So title is off. And I'm going to remove the background color as well. Background color, make it something happy. Can I make it something greenish? Oops. Okay, ignore the background. All right, so we're going to make it work. So this one is actually title. Let's say I'm going to be hopeful fixed. All right, so month year trend. Okay, of course. Oh boy, what's... Oh wait, why isn't Oh, of course. So we don't want the sales measure. Sales measure is bad. We don't want that. We're gonna build our own measure. Let's do table. New formulas. Oh man, this is good. This is really good.
I think you're heading somewhere. It's
Say
gonna
again?
work. I think so.
Yeah, you can see it,
I think
right?
it's gonna
Yeah,
work.
I mean, because it, and frankly, man, once you get to a point, so I always talk about the Power BI learning curve, right? And the learning curve is it's kind of easy at the start, it's fun, you're just messing around with the table, and man, it gets hard really fast. But of course, the good news is that on the other side of it, it's like you're a kid in a candy store, right? I mean, you can see the pieces, and I can see already that I have a table which is not filtered, right? Which has all the months, and I have these values, and of course I can tell it to, I can use like a laser to say, oh no, I want these 6 months. So let's come in here, new formulas, and the first thing we're gonna do is define a formula which ignores this totally, right? So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna say essentially ignores the calendar table, right? So we want to get over that. So we're gonna say sales, and what do I call it? Sales. Let's try trend. So sales trend. You can call it something else, but so we say calculate sales. So I want sales. Oops, not this guy. I want sales, but forget the calendar table. Forget the calendar table. And man, it's so odd that, yeah, essentially what we've done is invoke the God mode, right? So calendar table, and I'm going to add this measure on here. And initially you saw me pause, and I'm like puzzled. I was like, why is it only showing July? Because our measure was doing that, right? So right. So actually let's try this. So actually before we even try that measure, so I'm gonna go in here and so I was puzzled here, and sometimes people get tripped up over this, and so let's change this to a table. And really, in this month year, this is not filtered. But why is it only showing July? Because if you add a measure, it by default it automatically filters. But that's only the default. That's not. You can override that. So I can come in here and I can say, I was scared for a second. Show items with no data. So watch what happens here. Show items with no data, right? And you notice it shows all the years, and well, they're not sorted right. Hold on, let me get the sorting right. So month year trend, I want to sort it by month year now, and it should sort correctly now. And yeah, so now it's showing all the months. Now, first time people see that and they're working on this problem, they think, oh, that's what I need to do for this thing, right? So let's try this for our sales thing. So again, month year sales. Let's ignore this guy. And right, and then you say, oh, cool. So I'm just going to say show items with no data, but it's not going to do anything. So slicers work a bit differently. They're not this. When you put a slicer or a filter, it's as if those other rows don't exist, right? So the month of April, May, June is not available, right? It's not available at all, right? So it doesn't matter if you say show items with no data, it's not going to do anything. Now, of course, you can break the connection, but then you will get all calendar, right? So we're catch 22, right? So I wanted to kind of emphasize that. So for one, that the month years are at least available to us. So because this slicer, of course, has no effect, those two tables are not connected. They're available to us. They were not showing here only because the sales measure was limiting it. That's the default. But that's where our new hero comes in, the sales trend with the God mode turned on, and boom, there you go, right? And of course, if I add this on this graph, then you're going to see everything, right? So there we go. So sales trend. Now, of course, we're not home yet because our goal was not to show all of time. Our goal was to show only the
So I
last
guess it's a
6 months.
simple -6 in that.
Exactly, right? I mean, we have seen so yeah, if you notice this God mode, I mean, it's so similar, right? I mean, you invoke God mode, all something, and then it's a playground, right? And of course, variables make it so easy. And I'll admit, man, variables make your life so easy because without variables, for one, the formula looks really weird and funky. But variables, it's like kids play. So we're gonna walk through it, but folks, man, this was fun, right? Because definitely a gold star, by the way. Yeah. So let's just walk through. But again, it's going to be so simple at this point. So let's just go in here, and we're going to keep this one, and it will say new measure, and okay. So sales trend, and we're going to say past 6 months. So we're going to start nice and easy, and we're going to say, what is the current month? What are we showing? And for this, I'm going to use offset. Really, you want each month to have a number. In our case, we already have that column. So current month offset is going to be max offset, current month offset. And as you've seen me, I often just return that value to kind of check that. So current month offset. Let's try that. And I'll add it here in our table. And I'm expecting to see -1. Yeah, because wait, you know what? Dang it. So let me save this as a new file. Save as, because I want to take out the hack that I put in for the current month, because it's, we don't need it anymore. Last month v2 duplicate calendar solution. All right, so we got that, and just give me a quick moment. I want to take out the hack for the calendar. Actually, I realize I will have to take it out in both calendar trend and that. That's okay. Advanced editor. And the current date, I don't want it to be hard-coded anymore. The default is good. Done. And same thing with the calendar. Again, I'm going to take out the hack for this one out, and that's it. Okay, close and apply. All right, so perfect. So -3, that makes sense. So current month is October. So October is 0, September is -1, July is -3. And of course, we can kind of change that and say August. Oh, you know what? I'm going to fix this month as well really quick. So I'm going to say month, sort by month num. Okay, let's try that again. So yeah, that makes more sense. So August should be -2, September should be -1. Perfect. Right, so let's go back to July. So we have that, and I usually put the words in progress there while I'm working on that. So okay, cool. So we have that, and then are we ready? I'm not sure. Let me just take a shot at the final thing, and then we will. We'll see. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm missing a measure. So we're gonna say calculate sales all calendar. So we definitely need all calendar. But then right now our calendar trend, the second calendar is not filtered. That's why it's showing like all data, like everything. We don't want that, so we want to introduce filters on that. So what we're gonna do is get in there, and I'm gonna say calendar trend, the current month offset. This is going to be interesting. So calendar trend current month offset is less than equal to current month offset, and so and calendar current month offset is greater than equal to one of those -6. I think so. All right, so let's try it. So let me read through it. We got the, and then we say calculate all calendar, but filter in the current month offset minus calendars. Oh shoot! Actually, man, this is not gonna work. Is this gonna work? My head hurts right now. I don't know. Let's see. Holy moly, it did work. Oh gosh, look at that. So our first one kind of, ignored the sales table. So that was the first one there. Sales trend, yeah. And this one only shows the last 6
wow, it's
months.
working.
Whew. Okay. All right, that was awesome. So now, of course, we can remove all of these sales trend and add it in here, and it's always going to be 6 months. And of course, the final test. So if we change it, it's going to adapt automatically. So if we say June, this is go January through June. It does, right? So it goes January through June, and yeah, if you change it to August, then it throws March through August. And that's it, right? So yeah. So if you think about it, I mean, the DAX here is really simple, and it's this one pattern. Which, man, it's funny how many times I've used this, and yeah, and frankly, once you get this pattern, I mean, it's not advanced DAX. So I like it, mate. I mean, I think, and of course, you can see that how the best part is that you can, instead of sales, you can put any measure in there. Doesn't matter, sales, error, budget, whatever that is, and as long as they're both connected to the calendar and the calendar trend table, is going to work. What do you think?
Your voice broke a little. Can you repeat?
Oh, I was going to say that if you look at this measure, you can see that it will work for any other measure. For your error table, or if somebody had a budget table or something, all you would do is just replace sales with that. And the only requirement is that the table be connected to both calendar and calendar trend, right? So
that's just one change.
Exactly.
It should work.
Right? So I love, Kenneth, who dropped off the call but was here earlier. And Kenneth, he's pretty awesome. So I'll share with you. So of course, Italians, super respect for those guys, and they have this site daxpatterns.com, which is brilliant. But I'll admit that I don't understand half of the stuff there, right? So, and they talk about the pattern and so forth. And Kenneth had a similar idea, which is, and I think it's a similar idea, but he uses these called kind of slogans. And but basically, what he's saying is that sometimes you can take these things and almost kind of use them as is, right? I mean, once you understand a pattern, then you can kind of just tweak it and use it. And yeah, so I like that, overall, the patterns we use were kind of simple. All right, cool. Thanks, mate. That was a great question.
Thanks for the help, though.
I'm not sure when has this happened last, but we got 2 gold star and really good ones too on the same Talk Power BI. Man, we'll have to go way back. So, okay, well, not way back. September 6th was a good day, I guess. But yeah, my friends, so today was a good day for Talk Power BI. Let me check in with our folks on YouTube. All right, so YouTube, you got my attention. And Nancy, if you are back, let's have you call in, and let's work on your problem. Um, okay, Patrick had a statement. I can't make mine perform quickly because OData doesn't filter. Oh, that's some discussion. Can you use some Power BI Dynamics 365? I'm not sure, Patrick, what that's about. So, may I ask? I'm not sure. So, are you using direct query mode? I'm not even sure if that's possible with OData. But okay, I think let's see what's going on. So let's check that really quick. So oops, wrong gold star. Not well. This one was pretty close, I guess, but this one was months selected, but graph needs to show last 6 months. Duplicate calendar. Okay, so that was good. That was pretty nice as well. Okay, so yeah, Nancy, if you're on, let me know. Let's see what some of the other comments. So Paul is talking about is only 1 year. Would like more flexibility video. It seems to imply that it can change both start and end date thoughts. So Paul, I assume you're talking about calendar table. Yeah, you can change the start date and end date. Yeah, you can change both of them. It should be straightforward. Yeah, so if you have had trouble with that, oops, sorry, what's going on? There we go. Jen enjoyed it. That's great. Thank you. Please give me any tips to get job with Power BI skills. I do want to talk about that, Shravan. In fact, you know what? So this week has been video week for me, which means I've been cranking out a lot of content. This week was unusual because I cranked out a lot more content for our pro level class than YouTube. I only got one video on YouTube, and I got 2 hours of content for the pro level, which was pretty cool. But on one of the YouTube videos that I was intending to do was how to get a job with Power BI. So maybe we'll talk about some of the tips. Yeah. So Jen is echoing what somebody else had said earlier, and Raul, I think, and I think it was Raul, where Raul had said that, hey, it's I'm glad to see other people get excited about this stuff. And of course, what I had said earlier was there are no uninteresting topics, right? All topics are interesting. They're only uninterested people. And of course, we're lucky because we get this self-selected group. And if you're not interested in this stuff, hey, you're not gonna hang out on what is it, like a 3 hour plus live, right? So this is cool. Perfect. Awesome. Absolutely, Sile. Take care. Have a good night. So Shravan, I want to take your question and I want to address Patrick's as well. Patrick, hopefully you are around. So what Patrick is saying is that OData doesn't filter. Oh gosh, I'm not sure I'll have a solution for you, but maybe the community would. Maybe somebody would have some ideas. Yeah, man, that is a challenging one. I might have to ask like other MVP experts, see what they think about it. I'm not sure I have quite a solution for you. Now, of course, what I used to say in the old days was, I would say that go directly to the backend. But this was on-prem and the backend was SQL. And it was so easy. We would go directly to SQL Server, and we were happy, right? But kind of the new age, it's all in the cloud, so you can't access the backend. I'm not really sure. What have I heard? Now, this may have been for a large customer. I don't know, large, GE, I don't know how large. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a small customer. But Microsoft talked about, somebody that I was talking to, they said that Microsoft somehow they, kind of, they basically duplicated their Dynamics data on an Azure server. I obviously have no idea how they did it. I don't know, right? But of course, and we were talking like an Azure SQL Server. Is it still called a SQL Server if it's in Azure? Maybe. So of course, then you get a SQL Server. So, but I don't know. Maybe this was like a really large customer, GE, and Microsoft was like, "Oh man, I mean, we'll do anything for you, right?" I mean, so, or is there another option? What I would say is that maybe your business intelligence team can help. BI team can ETL data once out of Dynamics Cloud. Right, so they use our data and just fetch all of it, and then they put it in a SQL server, and then all company employees, members, whatever, they access the SQL. It could be in cloud, could be local, but otherwise, I don't have a brilliant solution like, oh yeah, do this to speed it up. All right. Cool. So let's talk about this, folks. And this is good because it's gonna give me food for the video that I want to create. But you guys are gonna hear it first. You're gonna hear the raw version of it, right? All right. So let's do this. All right. So 12:13. How to, and this is Shravan. I think we're going to end on this one. If you have any last wishes, questions, line them up in the YouTube. Oh, you know what? Oh, shoot. I did promise that I'm going to look at the pre-submitted questions. So I will do that. So how to get a Power BI job. So I have spoken about this a few times, Talk Power BI, and that's why I want to create a video, because I'm like, hey, this has come up a few times. One thing I want to say is get the book, What Color Is Your Parachute? It's an amazing book, and you're going to get your money's worth in the first few pages, because the first few pages show this. It shows how do people find jobs, and then how do people hire. And it shows a pyramid of how do people find jobs. And if I ask you, like, what comes first to mind when you think about, oh, I need to find a job, I know what used to come to my mind, like, oh shit, I need to work on my resume, and I hated it, right? And I hated it, and I dragged my feet. Now, which is silly, because that's where we go. So we go to resume, and we go to like these online sites, so like Monster, Indeed, all that sort of stuff. How do people hire? These things have, so this is number one for us, right? This is number two. For the for the how do people hire, the order is exact opposite, right? And there are other things here, like, I mean, there may be other things we do here, but the order is exact opposite. The resume is the last thing that people go to sift through a pile of resumes, either physically printed out or virtual, doesn't matter, right? So that's a last resort. And the book talks about why is it so different, because as it turns out, you would think that the goal of this person is to find a job, and the goal of this person is to find somebody for that job, which is not true. And it blows you away. I mean, it has something brilliant inside. Assume goal is to find a job. And then assume goal is to find a person for the job. But that's not true. That's not true. The goals are actually different. And the first time I found it, I was like, what? So hey, watch my video for that, or go read the book, right? So but it blows you away. So we understand, oh, that's why it's working. So the way we hunt jobs is the exact opposite of how they hire. So obviously it becomes a struggle. It's an almost insurmountable struggle. It's like really, really hard. Feels hard, can be hard, right? Of course, sometimes get lucky and all that stuff, right? But you can play that game. So by the way, this is just a game. I mean, that's what I'm figuring out. By the way, I mean, life is just a game, and the key thing is that so often what we do is we like, oh, I'm gonna work hard, right? So work hard, and I'm gonna get through this, right? So my son plays soccer. But imagine if he approached soccer this way. He said, oh, I'm going to work really hard. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work really hard. And that's what people do, right? I mean, that almost becomes the end all, be all, end all, right? But work hard, right? But, oh my gosh, the one thing that is we forget. We totally forget. And that's what needs to come first, right? What are the rules of the game? We forget this. What are the rules of the game? Do you even know what are the rules of the game? Do you even know how the game is being played? If you work hard in soccer, right, you spend a lot of time. And again, if you worked hard for finding a job, or if you worked hard when you were in a job, would you expect to get forward? Well, you may, but you would be mistaken if you didn't get this first. And of course, I lived my life for a large majority of my life, I've lived it that way, where I worked hard, but I didn't understand the rules of the game. And this is where things are a little tricky, right? Because our schools kind of have failed us, right? So because they teach us a set of rules where they apply there, but nowhere else, right? So school, man, I learned how to kind of work hard, whatever, right? And yeah, I mean, in school, if you work hard, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go through the book twice and thrice and 4 times, you tend to do better, right? So, and yeah, you can see that. And that's a mistake we make. We generalize it. We think that just because it was working there, it's going to work in the rest of our lives, in a corporate workplace, when finding a job, all of these things, right? And it doesn't. It doesn't. That's the biggest mistake that I made in my life, right? So I was really successful in school, and that almost was a disadvantage for me, because I kept doing the same thing, and I was frustrated that nothing was working. Man, we're talking about years, right? We're talking about like more than a decade, and of not getting anywhere. I was pretty frustrated. I always say LinkedIn was my enemy. I would jump on LinkedIn and like, oh shit, this guy got promoted. This guy got this. He's a director. What's wrong with me? And there was nothing wrong with me. I just, just didn't know, right? I mean, knowledge is power, right? So work hard is, really? No. First, you got to understand the rules of the game. If you're going to play soccer, you got to understand the rules of the game. If you're going to, if you want success in your job, figure out how that game is played. If it was just working hard, come on, look around you, mate. Tell me, have you not worked hard? Have you never seen an example of, 2 people who were like equally good technically, worked hard equally well, but one person went boop, 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 and the other kind of stayed the same? That person was me. I always wondered, like, what's wrong with me, right? There's nothing wrong with you. It just I didn't know, right? So yeah, first step starts with awareness. All right, cool. So if we come back here, so you got to learn the rules of the game. You got to know how the game is being played, and that is your step 1, is to figure out that no, that's not how it is being played. That's not how it is played. That is not how it is played. So how is it played? Well, so we're going to go too much into it, but again, I mean, the book has a lot of information, and again, I'm going to do a follow-up video, talk about all of this. But most jobs are filled before they're advertised. All right, so you see how this game is actually being played, right? And that's why somebody who's doing the resume and going to the online sites, they are at a disadvantage. Most jobs are filled before they're advertised. How are they filled, right? So I'll cut to the chase. So, by the way, one of the best ways to get in there is they hire who they have already worked with. That's at number 1. Now, of course, this becomes like a chicken and egg, right? So it's like, dude, how does it? How do I solve it, right? I mean, if I haven't worked for it, then how do I crack into this? Now, of course, we have some ways of solving that. One of the ways is is the real Power BI project, right? So real Power BI project, we say, hey, business users, hello, hey out there, hey, if you need help with Power BI, we'll help you for free, and we'll connect you with an amazing Learn Power BI student, right? One of our members, and they're going to have all of our support. So of course, businesses love it, right? I mean, they send us projects from all over the world and say, Avi, this sounds like a great idea, and it is a great idea, right? And then this is supposed to be a 4 to 6 week project, and then they work with them, and good things happen, right? So we asked the people who submitted these projects, and we said, hey, if you had awesome results with so this one 4 to 5 weeks, it's a limited period, but it's free and all of that. If you got amazing results with this, would you consider hiring this person, right? I mean, and most of them say yes. Of course they would, right? Why wouldn't they, right? So again, that's the number one way people hire. So that's kind of one way that I've hacked solving this chicken and egg problem. But there could be other ways, right? I mean, frankly, this one can be a problem, but there are other ways too. But again, you got to know the rules of the game. So that's what MindWise would be for now. That a resume is okay, but it's not the best way. So you should hunt jobs, meet them kind of where they are, right? So wherever they are looking for people, you gotta get and show up there. Cool. So I'll pause there. Let's see, and let's see who's if you guys let's see how we're doing on. Perfect. So all right. So folks, I'm not sure I heard. So I don't think Nancy kind of got back. Oops, what happened here? Power BI. Okay, so Ramesh, we did answer Ramesh's question. Let's go to Nancy, and Nancy, you're not on, but let's see. So 1224. Yeah, and you didn't send in a file. Now that I could see. Hold on. Did you send a screenshot? You did send a screenshot. Okay, let's see. So we have the screenshot, and she's saying, I found my total scrap measure, which is not shown here. Is not excluding my plants filter. Yeah, I don't fully understand. Why would it exclude it? Because I don't see all. It doesn't clear any filters. I built my report and everything worked awesome. However, I found my total health measure is not excluding my plants filter. Oh, this was okay. The measure schema is excluding plants filter correctly. Oh boy, yeah. So measure not respecting filter. Okay, so that's what my understanding is. So the best I can say is that this looks like a relationship issue. Sorry, I wish we could have gotten this in time, but given that, yeah, you're not. I think she had to leave. So I would say it's kind of a relationship issue. Let's go to Alexander. Oh, that's kind of a generic question. Let's see what Ola has. Oh, he did send the PBIX file. Cool. So guys, let's look at that. Oh, nice. With screenshots and everything. Cool. It's 1226. This is hola. Oh wait, what happened here? Great. Alright, so alright, likes my videos. The data says just about 200 rows in one major category. Oops. previous data shows the background. Okay, let's download the file, see what's going on. I think in the future we'll probably only cover the folks who are present, because otherwise it kind of gets tricky. But I did promise this at the beginning, so we'll do that. Auto-blend, and this is hola. Okay, opening the file, and he's saying Microsoft is taking weeks to sort this out. File coming up. So I'll mark the questions that were pre-submitted. Let's see. I think this was pre. Oops. Yep, that's good. So I think Timothy was pre-submitted. Who else was there? Ramesh had sent it in. And the Nancy had sent it in. And then Timothy, did I already get Timothy? Timothy, yep, I got Timothy. Perfect. Ola had pre-submitted it. And Alexander, Jeff had pre-submitted it. Okay, let's see, come back here. Alright, the file is on. So I'm gonna put it on this side and recreate the problem. Okay, click on rejected for May 31 to May. Oh, click on this one. Click on rejected, got it. On the graph invoice count, got it. And the interaction with graph evaluated by status. Exclude client buyer corp in page filter. So go to the page filter and shoot, what is it? Oh, client, yep, got it. So client, select all, and buyer corp. Oh, wait, what is a bug? I'm not sure what is expected. Bug disappears or change filter. Buyer corp is the cause. I'm not sure I understand what the bug is. Okay, so if buyer core is, oh, maybe this is a bug. Let's see. So if I click on this, then it's showing me only rejected, which I'm not sure, is that expected or not? Okay, let's try the other ones. So these ones highlight. Oh, okay, got it. These ones highlight, but some of them, seem to filter buyer core. Yeah, look at that. So whenever buyer core is involved, or not, I don't know. Yeah, so Ola, yeah, it's gonna be, if you remove it, I see what's happening now. It's all good. Let me just take a quick look at the measure, but yeah, I'm not sure without Ola being around if I'll be able to solve it. Let's go over here. Let's look at the relationship view. Perfect, looks kind of simple. Got that, really simple. Come back here, let's look at the measures. So this one is saying sum of invoice. Oh, there we go. Sum invoice count. Great. So that is this one. And this is invoice value by status. Oh, what is this? Sum of total net due. Oh boy. Sum of total net due. Man, for the I don't know, it does feel like it may be a bug. So if I click on this and include buyer core, then it does this. Let's go back to what he was saying. So he's saying as a negative invoice value, which gets excluded by using filters, so client bar core is the cause. Invoice, some of invoice counts. Why would it behave this way? I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, don't think I can help you there. Let's take